It's the Bennington Show. Happy Friday from the Happy Mondays. Up the neck, the great Mighty Pretenders band. It's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington. I'm Ron Bennington. It's a lovely Friday, and you came in skipping today, Gail, because you got some fantastic news for yourself.
I got some great news. I just found out a Lifetime movie about the Coreys.
Oh, boy.
Coming in 2018.
Okay, this is going to blow the lid off the gay Harvey of the West Coast.
Yes.
Because these kids were preyed upon.
Yes, and I believe it is A Tale of Two Coreys is the name of the Lifetime movie. The biopic.
I'm fearful that it's only going to be told from the one Corey's point of view.
Yeah. But the other Corey had a lot of darkness. I mean, really, they were the best of Coreys. They were the worst of Coreys.
True. Would this be, since there was so much darkness, would the name A Corey on the Edge of Town be crazy? Or I would love to be the person in charge of Lifetime movies. Love it.
They're fantastic. They're just so fun.
I saw the Saved by the Bell one, but it was all from.
I didn't see it.
It was all from Screech's point of view. Was the entire film?
It was called Saved by the Balls, and I don't even know why they did it. I have a problem with that. I want to get into stuff, but Vito claims. By the way, that's up on the iBang. But Vito claims he has the new dress. It's the shoes they're going to be driving America insane.
So I'm not going to tell you any options. I just want you to look at this sneaker that's out there, and I want you to tell me what color sneaker this is.
All right.
Okay,
now, do we say it out loud, or will that
Should we
ruin
write
others?
it down?
Let's all write it down. This
Okay.
way we don't spoil it for each other.
I see. Is it okay to say I see two colors?
Yeah,
I
it's
see
two colors.
Okay, so I would like to write down both. Here's a pen for
This is
everyone.
easy for me to become the winner of this.
I got this.
Okay.
I feel really confident about my choice.
It's like Match Game. I love this show.
This seems very obvious to me.
Yes.
Yeah, this is easy.
Who wants to go first, Gail? Do you
I'm
want
going to
go
throw it
first?
out there. I feel very confident in my answer, and anything else would seem strange to me. I have a gray shoe, so that's the canvas portion, the main portion of the shoe, and I would call that accent color a bluish green.
All right. I believe I see somewhat similar to you. I announced it differently. I have a light blue teal
Okay.
for the blue, and then I have dirty off-white for the color of the sneaker. Jen.
I'm saying I just put gray and blue.
Gray and
Gray
blue.
and blue.
Okay, so far everyone has the same.
Which, by the way, a lot of people don't remember this. That was the colors of our Civil War. Blue bellies
Yes, that's
against
true.
the gray downtown.
This shoe has pink canvas and white.
Where do you see white?
White are the laces, white on the side of the shoe,
I
white on
see-
the sole of the shoe.
Where you say, I see the light blue, shiny teal,
What?
exact same colors. And I run from a dirty white, but a gray wouldn't offend me. And what do you see the sole of the shoe?
The sole's white, but the body of the shoe is pink. It is without a doubt pink.
I don't see
Here.
a single strand of white where you see it.
What?
And I see no pink where you see it.
That's insane. That doesn't make any sense.
Vito? What the hell is going on here?
Why does he see something pink?
Well, I'm like all of you guys where I see gray and green, but the debate is that there's freak shows out there like Chris Stanley.
I'm not a
You
freak.
see white and pink?
Chris,
see white and pink.
don't move at all. I'm going to come over and see from your angle to see if that changes.
Okay. Check this out, because I think you're going to see some pink and white.
Oh. Yeah, I said exactly the same.
Oh, what's
This is so weird.
There's no way this thing's blue.
You
There's
have
no
something
blue-
wrong with you.
No, I think the rest of you have something wrong.
Well, what
with
color did you see the dress?
No, is
I
that
can't
something
remember the
that
dress.
is that something that only Jews see it that way?
you. That could be it. It could be that I'm a 5% Jew.
All right, so what we see as, in my mind, a very light blue. Does everybody agree
Yes,
with that?
I would almost
No.
say a greenish, light blue.
And that is white to you, Chris?
That is white. That is
And then
very
what
white.
we see as
Whoa, what?
Dance party. Dance party.
I have to tell you something right now, Chris.
Okay.
You are a freak from Freaktown.
I'm not a freak. I feel like you people are the freaks. I can't believe you see anything other than pink. This
I
thing is
don't think
pink.
Chris and I saw the dress a different color. I think we were on the same.
No, you
That
were.
team.
I thought for sure because I know you and I saw the same dress.
Okay, then I didn't with Chris. I thought
And
it was a
I'm
freak.
the one you have a connection.
What'd you
Not
guys
Chris.
see?
No, I have a
Who knows?
I don't remember the
Those are-
dress.
I remember the dress. It was
Blue-
white and gold to me.
Was that even an option?
It was white and gold or black and blue.
Oh, I was a black and blue. I see the dress now. I see black and blue.
No, it's gold and white.
Don't be on my
Oh
side.
my God, Chris is crazy when it
Yeah,
comes to everything.
see,
No, I'm
he's
not.
weird.
What? I see gold and white. I actually see gold and light blue. But let's get back to the shoe at hand. This is a whole new thing that everyone's supposed. First of all, why would anything be that color? It must be under a weird light because I feel like the light blue that we see
Yeah.
is a reflection of light, not the color.
Thank you.
And Chris can't see that reflection of light. That's whatever the reflection of light is what makes you the fucking freak
No.
No, do
on a
they
leash.
do they have any reason like that they why somebody would see a different color other than white?
It's always
gray and blue.
It's always the same excuse. It's that it's just lighting into the eye's perception to what you're looking at.
But then this other person has a weird eye.
No,
That's
think
a weird
it's
majority
stronger-
here.
No,
stronger
because
eye.
the dress situation was the same thing where everybody saw it one way or the other way.
Yeah, but
and
the
it
dress
wasn't a
seems
weird
much
eye.
more 50-50 in this group.
Well, let's click through on the iBang, and you will get the reasoning, and you will get the picture of how each person sees
yeah,
it.
I would love to see what this version looks like.
I would love to
Your
know what the
pink-
what is.
Your pink world.
The what?
Yeah.
What in the butt?
Oh, no one says that, do they?
I believe. I've said it all these years.
I see it the same way in both pictures.
Yeah,
so
me
nothing
too.
has
I
changed
don't
for
see
me.
anything
That's
different.
back to remember the time from yesterday. Look, I can't have Chris be the person in
you
charge.
need to clear your
Vito,
history,
you have
bro.
to get. Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't keep a clear desktop to be a producer.
You've got to clean it up.
Great.
This is why I won't let him do my accountant.
I know.
He asked me, he goes, "Can I be your CPA?" I go, "Get the fuck
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I said, "You can suck the DIC," you know. So you can see it on his
Well,
side.
is that
Now,
it?
Chris,
Chris,
take-
that was it.
Now, do you see it the same way in both?
I see pink and white in both pictures.
Now, the one on the left, I see pink and white.
That doesn't make
impossible.
sense. How do you-
Yes.
fucking pink.
The one on the left is pink and white. The
Yeah.
one on the right is a teal, blue, and gray. But it looks like
Shouldn't he at least see our
Yes.
side the way
Yes.
we can see his
No,
side?
we both can see. Can all of us, all four of us, see his
yes,
side?
I see. Understand now that the
Jen,
blue,
you see on the left?
Yeah.
It's the way a person without good eyes would see stuff.
I see it as pink. All right, so the picture on the right,
They both look exactly the same to you.
the pink and white is a little hazy, but it's still very obviously pink and white to me.
Now, do they say what it is? Is it like a black light or something doing that?
All right, the second pic, the pic on the right is taken with a flash and it's been darkened, so it
Yes.
looks teal and gray. But I
Yeah.
still think it looks pink and white.
But here's the thing. I had this
Hold
same.
on. Say what you said again, Chris. Teal. Teal. I'm the only one who came up with teal.
Yeah, teal.
Teal
that is
and
what
gray.
But I said off-white instead of a gray, so
I
fuck
will
me.
say that what I did right here is a bluish green. And is teal not a bluish green?
It is. It is.
I mean, maybe I don't have the vocabulary you do.
A teal by any other name
What does that mean?
is teal.
You just left it, though. You didn't finish it.
That was like the most half-assed Shakespeare quote ever.
Seriously though, it's fucking pink and white in both pictures.
You know it's not because they've
Yeah,
explained
they've
it.
just explained.
They've explained.
Now, here's the thing that I got that pisses me off about this, just like the dress scenario, in which people start to go, well, let's take a look at the actual dress and see whatever. That's not really what the argument is.
That isn't the
And
argument.
that really made me mad when people brought out the real dress and then said that's where the fact is, because it has nothing
Right.
to do with that. It's what your eye perceives. So whether the shoe is actually pink and white has nothing to do with me.
Here's what's interesting. Our friend Chris Stanley, and I use the word friend loosely, he is able to perceive a flash. he doesn't know when a flash is happening. So we could be, right now, all of us could be flashing at Chris and nothing.
Nothing would happen.
It wouldn't matter.
He would not
You know
notice.
why the reason with Chris is that, right?
Why you guys just putting your phones up?
You don't see the flash on there.
No.
Oh my God.
Why?
can't see a
Just
flash.
People shoving phones in my face. What's
But
These
are
are
they flashing?
no?
Even
Okay.
Jen's doing it.
Nothing. You all look like crazy people.
So that's what we now understand about Chris Stanley. Now, I've always wondered, like, do any of us ever see the same colors? We just assume, like, even what I consider to be brown may be like red or dark red to you guys.
Right.
And then until I say, hey, where's my brown jacket? And someone goes, oh, you mean your dark red one?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the difference until that's pointed out. Now, for years, I thought I was prejudiced against black people, but it was actually Chinese people. I couldn't
Oh, you don't see
see the
color.
difference. And also, they sound like they're talking Chinese to me. But that's what I've learned about prejudice, which is to prejudge.
Now, I've brought this up before. When I was young, I always had a feeling that people perceived colors differently because I remember the way people used to talk about the color yellow. And kids would always be like, ew, I don't want the yellow one. And I didn't really understand. I was like, yellow is a very pleasant color, but a lot of people have an aversion to the color yellow. I don't know why this is. And I feel like I must be seeing something a little bit different because I see it as warmth and sun.
No little kid ever picks yellow as their favorite color, though. That's a really good
I knew
point.
one girl on my block, and you know how kids are weird and they tease people. People would tease her because she preferred the color yellow.
Your first primary colors is how we start to divide up.
Yeah,
And a lot of boys go for red,
they do. Yeah,
and then boys and girls will go for a blue or a green. But they don't get off those two colors.
that's pretty much where.
It's red and blue, what it comes down to.
Yeah,
And even at a football game, when there's a red side against a blue side, everyone's always like, this is the way football's supposed to look.
right.
You know? This is great now. So, primary color is very, very important only for a couple of years in your life.
Yeah, just for a couple years, you define yourself by it.
And-
But even still, I mean, do any of you go, "Oh, yellow is an ugly color"? Does anyone think?
I've never been attracted to yellow.
I don't wear yellow.
Right.
Never.
I don't have a yellow jacket, but then again, I don't golf. So that might have a lot to do with it.
I also find like a dark yellow to be like a disgusting
You mean
color.
Like a
Gold?
mustard.
like a it's even darker.
Gold.
How you're going
Like I said,
darker
say-
yellow?
Show
than-
us the picture of yellow that you
Okay.
hate. This
This
will
is a
keep
good-
him
yeah,
busy.
yeah.
It'll keep him busy. This is the Bennington show. This picture's up on the iBang, and then hopefully we'll put up. See,
Okay,
he
let's
is
make
going
it
for a
zoom.
mustard. That's
It's a
literally
mustard, dude. How
I
are you saying
enjoy
that?
how it tastes, but I think the color is disgusting.
We're not talking
it
about-
reminds me of urine.
What's your favorite tasting? No.
Oh,
if
that's
that's your
maybe what it
urine,
is.
you're in sick. fucking-
Sometimes it is.
That's bad,
It's
Chris.
dehydrated. I know.
That, no, it's
That's how
kidney
dark your
shutting
urine
down.
is?
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Not good.
There's also bits of insects parts in his urine.
Long
Which-
dead insects.
Yeah. Something he should be worried about.
Ew, why do I believe
What,
it?
what color do you think my hair is?
Gray, mostly gray.
That's his hairpiece.
Well, I thought my hair was black my whole life, and then I found out it was brown like a month ago.
I would say it's a dark brown.
I thought it was black my whole life, and then I looked in a light one day.
Go in that. That's a very dark brown.
It
Very
blew-
dark.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, it's like a deep chocolate.
I couldn't believe it. And then I'll stare at my arms, and I'll be like, "That's black hair."
Okay, dude, you're too big for this. You're too big to be this stupid dude of the earth. I'm sorry. I thought he was grown up, but he's not. Coming up a little later on today, and if, by the way, if you want to check this thing out, see if you're as dumb as Chris, it's
Not dumb.
up on the iBank. Too late, Chris. You've already been said by 4 people that you're dumb.
Wrong. No, wrong.
4 people can't be wrong. Not when
No
you
way.
only have 5.
Majority rules, dude.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 voted for Trump. That's how right it is. Coming up, we're doing an Unmask today, and Dana Gould is part of it, so check him out. That's at 2:00, and then it'll run all weekend. But Vito has something for us to. And Vito, you have a prize for us.
We're going to do a first responders, and you're going to tweet at Dana Gould and at Bennington Show for first responders. It's another amazing poster.
Nice.
Signed poster. Very, very cool looking poster. And if you're a horror fan or if you're a Simpsons fan, this is a great thing to have. All right, Vito, you have another piece up on the iBank about Halloween candy and what state has their own favorite Halloween candy. Chris, you haven't seen this yet, have you?
I have not seen this, no.
Because I see you sitting in front of the map and you just clicked it up.
I haven't seen it. There's no retention. I'm going to swap out with Vito.
It's not a problem, but you're not playing this game.
I haven't seen it.
I saw you sitting in front of the map.
Oh, I don't like the way his hat is pulling.
There's
his
no
eye
way I'm
in.
going to remember what
You're
candy was associated.
Dude,
Take the hat off.
it's so
It's pulling
weird.
your eyebrows up.
I don't like the way it looks.
It's really
It's
freaky.
so scary. Please.
Vito, this is your time in the sun. Chris is trying to steal it from you and make it about an inside thing that has nothing to do with anything. Do you want to put up the picture of you with your hat on? Is that the purpose
I'm
of
going to
it?
send that over.
Over what?
To the Instagram, Bennington SXM.
Oh my God, he can't promote anything to the Instagram, he says. And then he has to say Bennington XSM. Is it tonight or tomorrow night that you're going to do your first?
That's tonight. That's tonight on Instagram Live.
What time?
That'll be the game's at 8. I'll say 7:45. I'm jumping on.
Can everybody buy your Trump cuck shirt?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, they can't. Vito,
So,
give us a state. Well, give us Gail's home state of Florida.
Florida.
Now, before you tell us, what
yeah.
would you guess?
All right. So for Florida, I'm thinking it's a hot state.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting the nice autumn breeze. So you're not going to go with like a heavy chocolate. I'm thinking you're going to go something light and something fruity. My guess for Florida, Skittles.
Jen, what would you like to guess?
I'm gonna go with because when I used to work in Orlando and we used to like give out around Halloween time, we give out candy. I forget what they're called. They have it's like orange and white. They're like
Orange and white candy.
it's like an orange and white. It's like
Is it an orange?
candy corn?
no
Candy corn.
candy corn. Yes.
And that is, of course, native to Florida.
It is because of the oranges.
I'm going to say something based on what I see at every exit. It is the world famous pecan log roll. Vito, what is it?
Interesting.
The number one candy coming out of Florida is Skittles, and they go through 630,
Wow!
Holy
Congratulations, Gail.
930
Dude, that's
pounds.
really crazy.
Now, let's go to New Jersey, the Garden State.
I'm just not over this. I'm so psyched. And
we
I
all
feel like
celebrated with you. It was
I
great.
use logic
Yeah.
too to get myself there.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all happy for you. I'm going to say that New Jersey is the world famous saltwater taffy.
Oh,
Walk
yeah.
the boardwalk with a saltwater taffy.
I'm going to go with the classic Hershey bar.
Jen,
I'm gonna go with Kit Kats.
what do you got?
Skittles is running a gauntlet on this thing right now. They're taking over New Jersey also.
Wow.
Number
Okay.
2 there is Tootsie Pops, and number 3 is M&M's.
I'm very shocked by the Tootsie Pop hanging around like that. All right, let's go to the great state of Pennsylvania. In that case, I'm going to go to the classic Hershey bar as a way of saying, we love you, Hershey. You've given a lot of people work. Gail, Pennsylvania.
I'm going with the Reese's Cup.
Well, that's good. I was thinking of that,
Yeah.
actually.
I'm gonna go back to my candy corn.
Okay.
Hershey's mini bars are number 3.
I'm not going for number 3.
Number 2 is Skittles.
Jesus.
And number 1 is M&M's.
Ah,
my
that's really a
gosh.
stabbed.
Wow,
That is
that's
a
cruel.
stab. Yeah, it is mean. Well, New York is definitely number 1 M&M's because
Yeah.
we have a giant store here.
That's that was what I was holding off for M&M's.
Yeah, me
was
too.
for
I'm
New
going to
York.
tell you.
Yes.
M&M's didn't even crack top 3 in New York.
What?
Wow.
That's how shocked we were.
Number 3 is Reese's.
That was me screaming.
No. Have you ever heard feedback in this room before?
No.
Just from dropping the mic down on there.
One time, very early on, when I first started doing radio, I took my headphones off before we went to break, and then I didn't hear, and then like held them like really close to the mic like that. You're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm sorry."
Just put these right up here on the mic. Right, still on there.
Horrible.
That's really cute.
All right, so let me guess for New York.
Yeah, we already guessed, right?
No, you
We all
just
said
guessed
M&Ms.
You just guessed what it wasn't. It's not M&Ms.
We're not going to guess what it was. We guessed what we thought it was.
I
What's
know.
number one?
Number 3 is Reese's Cups. Number 2, candy corns finally getting in there.
What?
Congrats.
Yay.
Congrats.
And number 1
Go
is
to-
Sour Patch Kids.
No.
That's so
I
stupid.
can see that.
Why? Because we're
Just 'cause
sour.
A lot of like the girls in New York that they suck on the.
Oh, yeah,
still
you're right.
want it.
You're right.
Chris
about
also
that.
likes a good Sour Patch Kid, so I've seen him.
Well, he's
chew
a
it.
real New Yorker.
I love a Sour Patch Kid.
And you're also emo right now with your hair, right?
Very
Is
much
that
so. You have completely lost the right eye.
I like to go through the Sour Patch Kids and then just take the red ones out, eat them all, throw the rest of it out.
It's true. I usually go through his thing and eat the yellows and the blues.
his ass, his shit? Now, let's go the great state of California. California.
Okay.
Can I guess? I really don't know any of I didn't know any
You
of these answers.
watched and looked at it. That's why you can't guess.
I have no
All
idea.
right, for I'm going to say it's going to be a shocker. I think they go with the Cracker Jack. And
Whoa.
I think they go old school. What do you got?
Do they have candied avocados or something?
It's good though.
I was gonna say the same thing, like something healthy.
Milk Duds.
Chris, you already saw it.
It's not even your
Yeah.
turn.
It's not your
No,
turn.
we haven't been playing
You're
like
not.
that.
You're not
He
doing
just said, Jen.
it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with a take 5.
What did I had? What Cracker Jacks?
Yes.
I want to change that place. The Milk Duds. I kind of feel like it's going to be Milk Duds.
It's not. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it is.
All right, number 3, Skittles.
Mm.
Number 2, saltwater taffy.
God damn it! I had that for Jersey.
And number 1, M&Ms.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Let's
Straight up M&Ms, right?
all right,
Not
let's
peanuts.
go to Utah. See what Utah would do for you. Jen. Quickly.
Twix.
Great.
Whoppers.
And Vito, I'm taking Pop Rocks. What do we have? Utah.
Number 3,
Skittles, all three.
Tootsie Pops.
Ow!
Number 2, Reese's Cups. Number 1, Jolly Ranchers.
Ew.
That's a boring state. That's a
I
boring
mean, I
state.
could never
All
live
right,
there.
let's go down to Texarkana. It's just the place in between Arkansas and Texas.
I don't have that.
Do you have Texas?
Yes.
I have
Specific.
Texas.
All right, I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to say beef.
Just ground beef. I'm gonna say, oh God, just give me Skittles.
Smart move.
Swedish Fish.
Chris,
I didn't get Milk Duds.
you got to be called on.
I'm gonna go with Swedish Fish.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
Good
smart.
idea, Jen.
Really smart.
Yeah. What do you got?
All right, number 3, Almond Joy.
Oh, God, I should have had that.
I love home
Number
and
2,
joy.
Reese's Cup. Number 1, Starburst.
All right, that's a
Starburst.
good one, too.
They're
Because
eating
Lone
the
Star
shit out of
State.
it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Lone
Lone Star
Starburst.
State.
They're eating close to 2 million pounds of Starburst.
They're a big state, though.
2
They're a
million
big
pounds
state.
is a lot.
Wait, they have quantity up there?
Yeah.
It's one dude.
How many Swedish Fish they eating in Texas?
Chris, that's Jen's answer. And you, why is the hat back on pulling your hat? Until you get a hat that fits, you can't wear that hat. It pulls your eyeballs up. It's scary.
I really don't like it. It does like a weird facelift on him. And it goes low enough that it covers the brow. Like, I don't think a hat should cover a brow. Stop fucking with your hair like that. You look so silly.
I'm not silly.
Pete Wentz looking motherfucker over there.
Wow, that came out of nowhere.
He's talented, so that's a compliment.
Yeah, but the Pete Wentz motherfucker.
He wishes he had this
Look,
piece.
why are you going with your other eye? Just one
Yeah,
eye.
just pick which one.
Yeah, you can't have one eye and then the other eye.
All right, I'm going right then.
Pete Wentz, I believe, was the first time I saw like celebrity dick pic, like a leaked celebrity dick pic.
Nice.
Why nice?
That's
Vito?
inappropriate.
That was really sick. If you're gay, this is the place to come out.
Just say it.
This is the time.
I thought that was the appropriate thing to say back.
No.
No, I was just saying it as a fact.
She's stating fact. You're just.
Yeah, like that's not. I mean, I didn't have an emotion about it. I just said this is the first time I was like,
Yours
God.
You just brought in the facts.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if we were cops, we got like Vito would come in like, "Hey man, this hot bitch just got murdered. Man. We're so lucky we get to fucking track this down."
Fucking hate Khaleesi.
Khaleesi's a fuck nut.
Right here.
You want the nickname "fuck nuts" for now on?
Take it.
Because we love to do it.
I mean, if you have to call me fuck nuts, I guess you could call me. I don't have a choice in the matter.
I was making a little. I just had a lifesaver because I got. And it's a mint. Okay, so don't just sitting around thinking I'm having purple lifesavers. I'm not. But and then I tried to make a little whistling sound out of it.
Oh, you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, then I just got nervous that you're going to inhale it.
Don't worry, there's a hole in it that keeps me
Remember,
alive.
Chris?
Oh, that's a great piece of candy.
What?
Information.
Millions of kids. This is what he was shouting yesterday. Millions of fucking kids dying. Why can't they all put hole? And we had to do as we always do. Chill the fuck out, Chris, man.
Chris, it's okay.
It's a fucking
dude.
radio show, not a rant fest.
I was just saying that society as a whole should just ban all the hard candies without.
I'm okay,
Oh,
baby.
he's our
Baby.
baby. Say baby.
That was scary.
We used to always make the kids, if they were choking for a second, say baby. So we still do it now, even though everyone's an adult.
Say baby.
Now I wanted to switch it to say adult. Say taxpayer. Come on. Say taxpayer for me. Did I ever tell you the thing I did to my mom that time when I was a little kid? So I had one of those, I think I came home from a fucking birthday party. So I'm like kindergarten or first grade. You know those things that you fucking blow out on? And they unwhistle. They had like a little buzz to them, like a party favor, right?
Yeah.
So the paper part fucking broke off of it. And so I just had the little sucky thing like that. And I was walking around just in my mouth like it was a cigar blowing on it. So my mom says to me, "Don't take that out of your goddamn mouth. You're going to choke on it, right?" So then she goes down to her mailbox to get the mail. She comes back in. I'm laying in the middle of our living room, choking. And I'm kicking my feet. No. She's fucking screams in a way in his back and runs at me, "Ronnie!" I jump up, I start laughing, and I'm running up the steps. I had faked that I was choking with this as a fun conversation starter for us, right? So I'm running up. This is like 3 stories, and I lived in the attic. And I'm running up the steps, and I'm laughing and laughing. And I do that thing like when you're a kid, when you're so happy, you just dive in your own bed. So I just like run across my room, and I dive in my bed. I'm laughing about how brilliantly smart I am. And by the time I bounce back up, I just feel this fucking hand on the back of my head. You never did. She just started fucking me up. She's hitting me with both fucking hands. I'm fucking screaming. But I never forget that thing of like, now that I'm adult, I say, "Oh my God, I scared the shit out of that little woman."
But the funny thing is, you have an adult version of that from when I was a kid. And I feel like you stayed with that same sense of humor.
When did I do that?
All right. So when I was a kid, the neighbors were over. We're all playing in the living room. And all of a sudden, boom, the ceiling fan falls
I remember
off the fucking ceiling.
Oh,
now, here's the
shit.
thing. It was a really high ceiling. It was like a 15-foot ceiling,
it wasn't
right?
like if
Oh,
something
fuck.
dropped from here.
Yeah.
So it was like a huge smash.
And it was a big, thick ceiling fan.
And we were all like, "Holy crap, like what the hell just happened?" And we were lucky because nobody was underneath the ceiling fan.
Yeah.
My mom is downstairs. So my dad says to me and the neighbors, tells little Robert Tevlin, "Get underneath the fan."
Oh my God!
So that when my mom comes running upstairs, we're like, "The fan dropped." And she looks, and I remember Robert's laying like belly down with his leg underneath the fan, and he's just twitching. Like just the leg is twitching, like as though these were his last moments. And we were all just standing there like, and she's like, "What And then we had to be like, no, seriously though, the ceiling fan did really
It really fell and look at the hole it left in the table, remember?
Yeah.
We had that big, thick fucking
I know.
table, and it just fucking left a I mean, if it would have fallen on a kid, it might have killed the kid.
Yeah. And we were feet away.
And it
playing,
came
was
with the
just
house.
lucky.
It's not like we did it. I think what happened, somebody had started the fan and let the thing get chewed up in it. The
rope,
like the chain.
Yeah.
But fuck, I forgot all about that, man. And he was like a little guy. He was like 7 or something,
Yeah.
6 or 7. That was a great fucking joke. Well, we did it. We got her.
But the best part of it is we're like, haha, just kidding. But seriously, this did really happen. Like, the fan did actually
Everything
fall.
happened except for hitting him.
When I was a kid, I was at a Toys R Us and a ladder.
That was Mr. Topper.
All right.
It's not that Topper. Yours is much
No,
better.
but
Yeah, but
seriously.
mine was like
I was just
an
trying to
extension
feel
of Ron
along with you
Bennington's
guys.
humor. is
That's
what
that's not how this thing was set up.
my point was. Little Ronnie Bennington,
Never grew up.
same as adult
Yeah.
Ron Bennington.
But your thing is, I have a Topper story. One time I was at Toys R Us and saw a woman get killed.
and I
No,
can't
that means
top him
nothing.
With his own story. I mean,
Right.
both of them involved him.
I'm
Yes.
just trying to relate to you guys.
Typical
No, you're
fuck
not
nuts.
relating. You're doing the exact opposite of relating. What's that?
It's typical fuck nuts behavior.
You're lucky Gail brought that back to you because I was totally ignoring. So anyway, guys, I thought of something much better than what you said. It's not much. That's
that,
fuck. Then
dude.
don't do it, dude.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Okay.
He's like a guy. Like if somebody makes a lovely speech at a dinner, then he tries to get up. You know what I
awful.
mean?
I've actually known him for 14 years.
Jesus Christ once said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the." Shut up, dude. If I wanted to hear from Jesus, I would have invited him to this party. Levita Khalees, not only have you really embarrassed the room with that,
Oh, God.
you've now stopped the fact that we're no longer guessing your candy bar. And that was going great. That was going great.
What do you think's going on in Wisconsin with candy?
That's an interesting one, and I'll tell you why.
York peppermint patty.
Why would you bring that up, Chris? You're not part of this. You'd already seen the whole list.
If I saw the list, I'd be getting them right.
You're trying to get them wrong to cover
Yeah,
up.
yes,
I didn't
he
get
is.
anything wrong.
Why is the hat back
He'll
on?
get one sleeper.
And you're not a Yankees fan.
Yes, I am. I followed the Yankees my entire life.
You did not. You didn't follow them through this fucking series until Game 5.
Yeah,
You
you're a
screamed
troll.
it's over. They're bums. George died.
I was trying not to jinx them. I was reverse
Go
jinxing it.
back
And it worked.
well, no, don't jinx them now.
No, I
Yeah,
can't.
why are you
not-
wearing
Burn the
that
hat like
I-
you're going to after they lose.
no,
anyway.
I'm not burning anything.
I hate fair weather fans.
They're
I'm
the
full
worst.
weather fan. No matter what the weather is, I'm a fan
I
of
don't
the
think that's
Yankees.
the opposite of fair weather.
Really, Chris?
Yeah.
Name the second baseman. Name the catcher. Name the right fielder.
Russell
no further
Martin's our
questions.
catcher, right
no
fielders.
No further questions. Do you
A lot of
remember
questions.
the time? I went home and watched it last night twice.
It's so good.
I don't get it at all. I mean, I think that you guys were
You
caught
and
up.
me, yeah.
I think you were caught up because you were children.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's why that's the Michael Jackson of my childhood. My
Yeah.
favorite Michael.
That's where, when songs, Gail goes, "Oh, you got to hear this song." And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4. Let's sing a song of 4. How many is 4? It's a Sesame Street song, kids. Sesame
Didn't you
Street.
guys watch Sesame Street?
Not
No,
really.
They weren't allowed to watch public television.
That's why.
They had to sit in the other room, eat candy, and watch porn. Vito, where are you going for your porn now?
It depends. Like Pornhub's a pretty good location because you can just search everything. There's new video. There's a new one I found called, if you like the websites but you don't want to pay for them, it's called pornohub.su. And the pay sites, all their full videos are up there. I see you looking at me, Chris.
It's nice.
You already know about it, Chris?
I don't know. I've now. He's got me on this porno.
Brazzers, Brazzers videos are up there.
Let me
so-
guess this. You are off the porn because you're in a nice relationship.
I'm on the classier porn, to be totally honest.
Okay, what
I
kind?
like the Vixen. Like, there's a whole new brand of like high end porn, like Vixen.com. Tushy.com, Blacked.com.
I'm going to tell you, Tushy doesn't sound too sophisticated.
It doesn't.
But no, I'm saying like the way it's shot is classy.
He loves Blacked Raw. He's a really big fan of BlackedRaw.com. He's brought it up to me multiple times.
What is it about, Chris?
BlackedRaw.com is it's interracial pornography, but it's like shot like amateur. So it's not as classy, but it's like amateur in a hotel room. I find that to be sexier.
Now, can I ask you a question? Don't you think it's strange the comfortability of like fetishism with race? Like this is like blacked raw. Like any other circumstance, you would go, that's pretty horrible. But in the world of porn, you're like, fair game.
Yes.
We use these kind of weird descriptors. What?
Anyone's freak is indeed. I can't see any of that you just held up. It just looks like a light. But yes, anyone's freak is accepted now. You know.
Yeah.
And are there certain words to set you off at all, Chris? Do you need verbiage?
Usually, no. I mean, I just like the raw act of black
Chris,
sex.
Any verbiage for you?
No,
You like talking?
I like the storyline. I'm always a big fan of like the setup. I don't like just when they just go into the sex. I like
You do like the storyline.
What do you like? Office?
Any story. It could be like friends. It could be like you work together. It could
There's
be
no
mom's
friends.
friend. It could be
There's no friends. Hey, we're just friends, right?
Hey, we're just friends. Oh no, we're lovers.
And I really like at the end of the porn when they revisit the storyline. So after the money shot, like the friend comes in and is like, "Why are you fucking my mom, dude?" And then it's a fun ending.
That is fun.
I don't like that.
Those are my favorite.
You're already done by then.
done.
You're out.
out.
You're
You
already,
don't know
what do
how
you
it
call
ends.
Blacked Raw Dog?
Blackedraw.com.
You guys want to see it?
And it's not even just interracial. If like
Interracial.
if Vixen.com or TushyRaw.com became a thing, I'd be down with that too because I
Wait.
like the amateur aspect.
Okay, so the raw is. I thought that meant they were raw dogging it.
Well, they're all raw dog.
Yeah, that's just
I would
everything.
never
That's all.
watch something.
Condom, and any man is out if he sees a condom.
It's disgusting.
What?
I don't know a man who will watch a condom porn. Did you know that, Jen?
No, I thought they had to.
Yeah, I thought that they had to wear them.
No.
Did they have to in a fucking place that doesn't matter to men?
Yeah.
Dude, I did not know this. So even to see a condom in a porn,
Nope. Out.
Awful.
so you want to see the dick? Is that why?
The raw.
No, but you want to
But, like,
see the
just
dick.
The sex is
The
sex
quick
is an
answer
act.
is yes.
Yeah, that's what I want to
Quick answer
know.
is yes.
Yeah.
All right.
There's
That's-
one series
I'm
I
not
don't
judging.
matter. There's one series where there's condoms and it doesn't bother me. It's in the Bang Bus because they try to make it seem realistic. Like this is really a random person being
Okay.
off the
Bang
street.
Bust was over 12 years ago, in my opinion. No one believes they're picking up
That's
women
when I
off the
got-
street.
No, see, I like the reverse
That's
Bang
old
Bus.
school.
When they bring a porn star on who picks up random dudes, like a roller girl situation.
Roller girl status, yeah.
I like that.
Except for that was the saddest scene in the movie.
So sad.
They make this happy.
But
Actually,
did you
they
like
don't.
when she like stomps him at least?
Not really. It still felt like, look how far you've sank. You know what I mean?
He used to be with Dirk.
Dirk Diggler, that is. Coming up, 2:00, but is Unmasked. And remember, you can still get tickets to the next Unmasked that we're doing.
That's Gilbert Godfrey Unmasked with director Neil Berkeley. That's at the Village Underground, Wednesday, November 1st at 6 p.m. Go to the ibang.com for a chance at free
It's
tickets.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that doc too.
Yeah, I've only seen the trailer. It looks amazing.
I've heard amazing things from anybody who's seen it.
In the trailer, they show him, like, Gilbert, like, taking the bus everywhere. Like the $5, like, Chinatown bus.
Chris, do we ask you to do spoilers?
It's just a trailer. That's all. I don't think
I
wanna-
know, but
didn't
I go
wanna
out of my
spoil
way
it.
not to watch this trailer.
I apologize.
And you, on the other hand, live in a trailer.
Kind of.
You don't. You have a nice, beautiful apartment. I've seen it.
You know, yesterday I hadn't seen the Star Wars trailer, and
Yeah.
Chris was like, "Oh, I'll play it for you," and Vito ran out of the room because he's like,
I don't like trailers anymore.
he doesn't like trailers, which is fine. I
This
kinda
one's really goes deep.
And that's what I
does.
heard. The director said, don't watch the trailer because it gives too much away. So I sprinted out of the room
He
and I
ran.
almost fell.
No.
he almost dove through a glass.
I'm going
Like,
to do one spoiler for you. I'm not a fan of the Star Wars thing, and I thought this fucking trailer looked amazing.
yeah.
I'm like, this is one of the best trailers I've ever seen in my life,
And
maybe because
there's-
it gives everything away.
There's also, of course, another cute little creature that's gonna be in it. I'm the new Star Wars creature.
Mom, can I have that creature toy for Christmas? Kids, this year for Christmas, I'm doing really good at work. I'm going to get you all the creature toys that you like.
I mean, that thing looks adorable.
Yeah, it's Teddy Ruxpin.
So cute.
It's Teddy Ruxpin with a fucking lightsaber.
And it's kind of fishy. Like, it's cute and fishy at the same time.
How does Lifesavers not put out a lightsaber
I know.
that tastes like all the great flavors? You don't like the Star Wars, Jen?
No, I've never been into it. I mean, I did like the one, like her hair, like I like the style, like Princess Leia. I used to do my hair like her when I was younger, but I never.
Those croissants on the side of your head?
Yeah.
Love it. I always loved that look when I was a kid and always wanted to
You know,
do it.
she's always been embarrassed about it. Princess Leia, yeah. And also, she said the number of people who said, "You were the first time I ever jerked out." And he was like, "I know you're a child. Now you're an adult. You don't share that."
That's not my business.
Yeah. That's your own business.
I would never tell anybody that.
No. But they feel very comfortable. And it's weird because it was a sex slave scenario.
Wait, Vito, are you saying no one on the Bang Bus would you tell that to?
No, and like I've been in the same, like porn stars come up here all the time. And I've been in the elevator with them, but I'm always like, I'm not going to ask for a picture.
What
and
porn star?
Asa Akira was in the elevator with me about 2 weeks ago.
Now, why wouldn't you ask for a picture? Because she'd be like, "Oh, good, people are seeing my videos."
Yeah.
I don't want to. It just feel weird putting out like, "Hey, I love your work."
But why?
That's what she does.
That's what she does.
She's a
So what you're
consenting-
saying is she does something shameful.
No, I do the shameful thing.
You're putting your shame on her.
Why is it shameful to masturbate? Why is it shameful to masturbate?
I like that he thinks that there's a world where everyone else has just got their hands folded enjoying her film, and he's the sick fuck who's beating off to it.
My
I do this weird thing.
My favorite bit is like when you're with your lover and you're watching porn. I always like to do this. Shh. And I'm pointing to screen. Shh. Chris, you okay? You can't even laugh anymore.
It's
I'm
bad.
so concerned. Why is the fucking hat back on
It's
your
back
head?
on.
You can't stop yourself.
Fidgety as fuck.
Yeah. He's a fucking fidget fucker.
He's my little
They
fidget
call me
spinner.
Fidget Boy.
Fidgy.
I used to have a friend named Fidget.
That's a cute name.
And then the baby Fidge.
That's great.
Yeah. He was the best. He was the best, Vito. You want to try to top it? That your best friend?
Fuck nuts always wants
I
to top
had
it.
one called
You
Fudge.
got to laugh by stealing my fuck nuts line.
Yes, I
did.
Once. You don't get to do it over and over. You know what? I'm burning the hat.
Please don't. No.
Chris,
It's a postseason
A
edition.
man should never yell, please
What
don't.
does that mean? It's a postseason edition.
It's not a regular Yankees hat. It's a postseason
Which means you just
Yankees
bought it.
hat.
Yes, that's
Because-
what bandwagon people do.
No, I like to support my
I
team.
didn't buy
unlike
shit.
Vito.
I didn't buy shit for the Mets during the playoffs. I just kept all the stuff I already had.
Bad fan.
No.
That's a bad fan.
No.
It's not even just a bad fan. That's a dat fan.
Unbelievable.
Do you guys want to guess what Wisconsin's favorite Halloween candy is?
I want to tell everybody I'm doing sets tonight at the Stand and hosting tomorrow night.
nice.
And all the acts are there. I'm so excited. So excited. Big J. Okerson will be there tonight.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. Big J, Ron Bennington in the same show. It doesn't stop there. It keeps right on rolling.
You're going to also have Keith Robinson,
The funniest
Love.
human being alive. We got to get Keith on the show.
Love.
Ari Shafir,
Love.
Unbelievable. And man, are people blowing up for him since his specials came out.
Bonnie McFarlane,
The best writer,
Killing it.
period.
Vladimir Kamano,
Wow, this is a great show.
Vlad Kamano back. Is this all in one show? Because that's too many names.
This is the Friday late show,
How late?
10 p.m. 9:30. Doors at 9:30. Show at 10 p.m.
What's for the early show?
Early shows: Keith Robinson, Monroe Martin, Ari Shafir,
Monroe.
Bonnie McFarlane, Vladimir Kamano, Ron Bennington, and more.
Nice.
That's too many.
These are great shows.
That's too many people.
Vlad Kamano was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine this week.
Where?
He was they did an investigation and they're like trying to find a sneaker thing and he's like working the front desk.
Dude, it just occurred to me. I didn't. Chris, take that off your head. I didn't see Brooklyn Nine-Nine this week. I guess because I can't look at Terry Crews since his balls have been fucking cupped by a man that he was afraid to punch. I love Vladimir. Did I ever bring him in here?
Yeah.
No. Vlad's never been on the show.
Really? Then why have I met him?
You met him at Just for Laughs.
Montreal.
Oh,
by the porta
okay.
potties.
Yes.
Did he give you a big hug?
Yes, he was so sweet.
Vlad will give you a hug and then just stay there with it. And you're just like, oh, this is too long of a hug.
God.
And he's done it to me on stage where the both of us are just hugging on stage.
That's so funny. I thought for sure that he was here, but yeah, it was in Montreal that we were hanging out with him.
Yep,
He's great.
At the Funny or Die party.
Yeah.
By the
What did you
porta
decide to do? Die?
You were given a choice.
I chose Funny.
Really? All right, let's see you have a funny minute for us. Just take over right now. Everybody look at Vito, and he's going to make us all laugh. Go, Vito.
Hey, everybody. So, Jen, what do you do for work?
Oh, you're okay.
All right, never mind.
This isn't make you laugh. It's make us laugh.
Yeah.
And
make
if you
them
don't want to
laugh.
get into the context of it and just make fun of people who do comedy itself,
No.
I guess you can. But here's your chance, dude. You've got the mic. Knock this room on its ass.
Sirius XM is. Yeah, do you guys ever notice how weird some of the people who work here are?
Again, it's not make you laugh, okay? It's make us laugh.
This is going pretty bad. That's funny in itself, isn't it? Nope. Chris is fat.
That's pretty good. I mean, I did-
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why you didn't open with
Yeah.
that because I was working against you that whole
Yeah.
time and I couldn't.
yeah.
Chris,
That's hurtful.
he finally found his voice. You know,
Yeah.
it takes a long time
Yeah,
to find
it
your.
takes a while to find his voice. He found his voice. You know what else I loved about it? It was so honest. You know what I mean? It's like the
You know,
stuff
it's his
everybody-
opinion.
It's the stuff everybody wants to say. Now, Chris, if you were here with your girlfriend and he did that, to you,
Yes.
would you be ready to throw hands?
It would be a fucking throwdown.
Because
Has
you were
anyone ever called you fat in front of your girlfriend?
that little kid.
Yes, actually. I'm walking down. All right, so she's like walking ahead of me, and I'm walking down the street, and an older black woman is walking by. I would say like in her 50s. Walks past my girlfriend, and as she's walking past me, like under her breath, she says, "That white motherfucker," like angrily.
What part hurt you? Just the fat?
The fat part, the white
white that
motherfucker.
bothered-
White motherfucker. Yeah, I am. I am a white motherfucker, miss.
but you're
the
not fat.
Were you just taking up a lot of room? Like,
No,
what got
I
her
was
so
just
upset?
walking down the street. There was plenty of room on the street.
But were you eating a pie or something?
What was it?
Were you going like this? Doop, 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 doop.
No, I was smoking a cigarette.
Was there chocolate all over your face?
No, there wasn't. There weren't any food stains. There was nothing. It was just a man walking down a street. And this
Something about this story doesn't sound right to me.
No,
No,
it
the
seems
sto-
like
Were you
she
wearing
was, she was provoked in some way.
She was not. I
hat with a little wheel on top of it?
no. This woman just not like me in their neighborhood. It was hurtful. The fat part, most of all.
That's the truest part.
It's all true. I am fat, white, and a motherfucker. But for her, the fat part hurt
Think
my
about that
feelings.
word that you keep being proud of, the motherfucker word that you keep yelling out, I am a motherfucker.
Now, here's the thing that I'm
Yes.
curious. How did your girlfriend react to
She
seeing
laughed.
you?
And then she was pissed.
Yeah. At you?
No, not me.
So fat? You embarrassed me, Chris.
How could you do this? I'm new to this country.
She's not.
She's coming to Thanksgiving, right?
She'll be at Thanksgiving.
Could I
yes.
ask you? You don't want to get married, right?
No.
Could you do me a favor?
Yeah, what?
To make
Oh,
this show?
maybe.
Could you stand on the stage when I announce you to
Yeah.
and make out for 30 seconds?
Come on, Chris.
That
That's
won't
not
be
a big
happening.
ask.
It kind of is. That won't be happening.
Why?
Not making out with my girlfriend
I'll
in
go-
front of a packed Hard Rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's found love, and for the next minute and 30 seconds, he's going to make out with the love of his life.
It's gotten a lot longer.
No fucking feeling up, though. Just straight making
What?
out.
No, there won't
But-
be making out or
and
groping.
maybe just like a little Teddy Pendergrass or Luther Vandross in the
Oh, that'd be
background.
I mean,
nice.
that's sexy.
Something sexy.
That makes for a sexy evening,
Yeah.
but not in front of everyone at the Hard Rock. I can't do that.
It's just a minute and a half.
She ain't gonna be down for that.
Oh, girl. I would love that. You
Yeah.
just make out the fucking Philly soul.
We'll like dim all the lights so it's nice and sexy, and we'll just watch you guys.
Start lightly grinding.
Yes.
I mean, sure, in the privacy of our home. Yeah.
Yes, it
lightly
is the
grind.
privacy of all the people in your life.
These are the people who are closest to you because they know you best of all.
All right.
And so, what better time and place than to show your love and affection for your sweet lady?
Play Love and Affection by, what's her name? Joan, what's her last name?
Oh, yeah. Joan Armatrading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Armatrading.
Yes, Joan Armatrading. A little Love and Affection. Did I give you this album?
Yes, you did.
It's
Life
unbelievable,
changer.
right?
I fucking love this album and was not aware of her before you gave it to me.
Is that right? So was this a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Dancing and kissing to this song, take off the hat. You can have on a t-shirt that says, I'm the new Harvey Weinstein. And on the back it says, because I rape. So when you turn around, the place will go fucking crazy when they see that. We gotta take a break here. 2 o'clock. Your chance to win a signed poster that Vito's put together for you.
It's a first responders. Tweet at Bennington Show and at Dana Gould to win this amazing poster. First responders. I'm going to choose a prize and give it to you on Monday.
You're not going to choose a prize. You already have the prize.
I mean, I'm going to choose a winner, and I'm going to give you the pre-decided prize on Monday.
Fucking train wreck.
I've already chosen the prize. It's the poster I just mentioned.
He's fucking right. You're the train wreck. A single train wreck. There's no excuse.
The lonely.
You've just been driving along and fell. Break. Back with Mo Bennington. You know, I can always come back early on Rejoiner music and not care until we get to that. I always want to hear that part of the song.
I know. That part gets really good. And sometimes we do. We cut it out too early to really appreciate.
That should be in every movie that's ever been done, like any traveling scene. Just us all going through new lands. Coming up in about a half hour, it's the Dana Gould Unmasked, and Vito got a signed poster of Dana Gould's, and your chance to win it.
We're doing a first responders. Tweet at Dana Gould and at Bennington Show for a chance to win the signed poster.
Nice.
That's great. Really cool career. Really a lot of fun stories.
Yeah, that was a great Unmasked. I really enjoy him so much. And, you know, he's like somebody he's so like well loved on the West Coast. So I was just like excited to get him here.
Everybody in the industry is crazy about him as well. And, you know, I knew we were going to get to a different topic, but something that he said to me that kind of stuck is he talked about he's known that he's had separate breakdowns. And I've always been curious whether I've ever had a breakdown before. I don't even know how you define a breakdown. I haven't even heard the term nervous breakdown used in a long time.
Yeah, I would think that if you're saying not just like, oh, a panic attack or anxiety, this is something where it's just like you have to completely change everything, uproot everything, just on a dime, I think.
Yeah.
That would be, I would say, a breakdown, a total breakdown.
Have any of you guys, you're not old enough for the midlife crisis, but has anybody ever felt like they've hit their quarter life crisis before in their life?
I think at the time, I wouldn't have thought that that's what it was. But now that I'm older and I look back and I'm like, oh, that's right at that time, that mid-20s time, that you feel like you should be an adult. You feel like you should be better at being adult at this point. And you start comparing yourself to people around you, your family. And I realize now I had a big thing. I had a breakup. I moved. I changed careers. It was like a whole big thing. And I felt really unhappy with where I was at the time. And only now I'm like, oh, that probably was one of those things that happens to people at that age.
Yeah. But you never thought to yourself, I'm going to see if I can get some help. Vito, never for you?
I had it really bad when I graduated college, and I was working at the bar, and I just moved in with my girlfriend at the time, and I hated being at the bar, and I hated being at the bar. But
by the way, I thought you always loved being at the bar. You always had great bar stories.
At the end, I really hated it because I felt like it just took me out of like a better place. And then like when I graduated, I was like, I'm going to take the summer off and just bartend. And then like when the bar it was fun when it was a side thing, but when it became like my entire life.
But you were dancing on the bar, and the people went there, and I would see
Shaking
pictures
ass.
of you pouring shots in their mouth.
That sounds
and
fun.
It
It's
was
like cocktail.
It was a lot of fun, but up until it was fun when it was just like, oh, I do this like for fun on the sides. But when it became my full-time job, it was just like I hated who I was because I was there. I was
Those
like,
kind of gigs do have a shelf life
Yeah,
where
they do.
like any nighttime gigs, nightlife gigs, most food service gigs, even if you have a good crew and you're like, and it's crazy and we have fun, and then you just burn out.
yeah.
You do burn out.
Yeah.
Especially, and then like you said, like I was on the bar dancing and drinking, and like that took like a crazy toll on my body. Like after a year of like 6 nights a week,
Like, yay!
Screaming.
Shout. How about you, Chris? Ever?
I don't think I ever went through a quarter life crisis, but I feel like I'm a midlife crisis kind of guy. I think when I'm around midlife, around quarter life, like my mom passed away right around then, so I think I was just preoccupied with that and those feelings to never really think about, oh, is my life really falling apart?
Maybe that was your midlife crisis, not your quarter life crisis.
Jesus Christ.
See, I think I know I had a real quarter life crisis because I had this early success come to me, and that threw me through for a loop because at the same time I had quit drinking, and I never realized that I was drinking to self-medicate
Right.
because I drank and did drugs every night, but I didn't realize that it was out of any discomfort. And when I was just looking at like the thing about suddenly having money and getting houses and all that kind of shit and being in your 20s, you're like, and I didn't think I would do this. Like, hey, what if I lose this? What if I just lose my gig someday?
And I'm sure it's a thing that when you give up drinking or give up drugs, it doesn't erase all the stuff that you were doing before. There's stuff that you were covering up there.
Oh no, that's what I mean. All of it I was covering up. I think I'd been like, I didn't realize it till I was older. I was like, oh, you had panic attacks when you were like 4 or 5. Like, I had separation anxiety. I hated school. I would leave the school
Yeah.
at 4 and 5. The fuck, and I didn't realize how crazy they were getting. Like, they can't just let a kid run out. Like, why are they chasing me? They hate me. You know what I mean? But, then you kind of like just blend in for a while. But that fight or flight, fight or flight, I didn't even know there was a third option.
I just realized like that just made me think those kind of school type panic attacks that you don't have as an adult anymore because you don't, you're not as ill prepared for most things.
You know how to lie better.
Exactly. So you know how to get yourself out. You're an adult. So if you say, hey, I can't do that right now, and here's why, you're an adult and someone's going to listen to you. When you're a kid, you're on someone else's watch all the time, someone else's rules. Like, I just remembered, I wasn't that young, but I remember getting a test or like a pop quiz, like, thrown at me and not being ready for it and just like picking up my bag and walking out. I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit here and fucking embarrass myself and know nothing, so I guess I'll just leave. And now as like an adult, you would say to a kid like, what, did you just fucking walk out of the class?
Take the test.
But I was just like, I'm freaking out, I'm just gonna go. Like, I just left.
I don't even think they understand, like, a little kid. Like, if you don't do what you're told, you're being told you're a bad kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's like, they get in your head. Good kids do this, bad kids do that.
But I had to start kindergarten at 4, and I think that was probably too early for me. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a giant difference between 4 and 5. You know what I mean?
It is. There's just like so much development that happens in a little person. A year is like totally different.
Yeah, they should have let me chill.
Did anybody get like those kind of before school stomach aches?
Yep.
Like, I would just get a stomach ache. Like, I can't do this. I don't want to be in there. I'm going to be in there all day, or I'm going to have homework or a test. And I remember it's just like my stomach just killing me in the morning.
Right.
And now you would be able to go, oh my God, I'm stressed out. You would just know that that's stress or anxiety about something. But you were a kid and you're just like, I don't feel well. I don't know what it is. I just don't feel right.
When I was, I think I was in 6th grade, we would catch the same bus as another kid on my street, but he wouldn't go to a different school. I went to Marcus Hook. He went to Boothwyn. This kid, some days, he had a mean teacher. She was fucking viciously mean. And you see him walking in and he looked like he was going to die. Sometimes he would be retching and we would be calling him pussy and stuff like that. And I saw him lay down on the fucking thing and just be like, I can't believe. One day we saw him leave and then his mom brought him back to the bus stop.
Oh, no.
Like physically had him by the arm, brought him back. So, like, I was like, and so I'm in a different school and I'm like, what a fucking torture, you know. I don't know who this fucking bitch is, but I know I straighten her out because I'm already
Right.
in 6th grade and starting to feel my own. One day he's coming in, he's walking on air. He's practically skipping to us, right? I'm like, what the fuck is up with you? So they got a call last night. This fucking teacher died.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
was as happy as if like the head of fucking Iran died and we weren't going to have nuclear war.
I don't
And
know why I'm so happy for him.
We
It's great.
fell on the ground laughing. We were fucking laughing and fucking
That's a
pounding the ground. And we're like, we already was like, do you realize how fucked up you are? You're happy a woman died. And he's like, no, she was really terrible. She was evil. And he goes, I don't even care who we get now. You can put a principal in there. I wouldn't give a shit.
That is so fucking funny. Because for this kid, his wicked witch just died. He's like, all right,
Yes.
everything is in color again. It's all nice.
But like that's what happens to those like Korean kids in the city. It's like they have to do so well. If they get a B, they hop in front of a train.
Yeah.
If I even got a B, I don't even know what would have fucking happened. I got a C once. My dad took us out for pizza. I remember that. Took us out for pizza. You know what he said to the waitress?
What's that?
Let Einstein order. He knows what he's doing. Let this guy pick. All right? He's the brains of the family.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was a kid who he used to get extra time. I think this is probably much more common now because there's a lot more stuff about, test taking anxiety
Right, we know
and stuff
all that
like
shit,
that.
yeah.
But that was kind of a newfangled thing. So there was one kid who they came to the teacher. They said, look, he has test taking anxiety. He needs extra time and he can't take it in the room with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just like, you fucking bullshitter. We all feel bad. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, dude, it's serious. Like, it really fucks me up. We're like, yeah, we all feel that way.
We're all fucked up all the time. We're
We
children.
hate it. And he's just like, no, I can't even get a good grade. I'm like, yeah, me either.
None of
I'm
us.
so stressed. I can't get good grades. That's what it is. We're just like, you're a fucking bullshitter. So we were pissed at him instead of being like, hey, maybe I have
Dude,
that too.
I had to spell in front of my class one time, and they made you do spelling words. I threw a 7 in the middle. I didn't know where I go. Well, look, I haven't gotten to the end of it. I don't even know what's going on with this.
There is no stress like being a kid. Like nothing happens in your adult life that is as stressful as being called on as a kid to do something at the board or read when you were not prepared to do so.
Dude, I had a fucking teacher that hated me so bad when I was 2nd grade, right? So I had 2 things that I would say wrong. Idea, I pronounce as ideal, right? I would say ideal, which is like a kind of a fucking slang from where I grew up.
Yeah.
And shall, like we shall, I said shall.
Yeah.
And one day she goes, you're not going out with all the other kids. You're fucking staying here until you pronounce shall correctly. I'm like, what? I'm sitting at my little desk. She pulls on the chair on the other side. She's going like this, shall. And I go, shall. That went on for the entire fucking thing.
That's not
She was
teaching.
screaming and shit. Finally, she just goes, just get out of there. Like, she was like fucking crazy. I start to fucking head out. I'm excited now. Now I'm happy. I'm not holding on to that shit. And the second I get outside, the fucking bell rings to come back in. I'm like, this fucking bitch just wanted 2 minutes to compose herself before she went back in. But I never fucking figured it out. It sounded the same to me. I wasn't trying to be an asshole.
It doesn't even seem like something that someone should be a stickler about.
No one ever corrects me on it now. They say it the same way. You know what fucked me up about ID, though? The Ideal company of toys. They were called Ideal. And
Right.
it, for some reason, it stuck in my head. Because I wanted everything from that fucking company.
And you're like, I have an ideal.
But because of like that shit that happened, I hate a teacher to this day. If somebody's telling me that they're a teacher, I just fucking look at them.
I had crazy anxiety. I believe it was in third grade. When the first day of third grade, the teacher goes to the board and starts writing in cursive. And I didn't know how to fucking write in cursive. So I was like, what is this? I don't know how to write this. I don't know what's going on. And I had like a freak out. And she was like, all right, so the first part of the semester will be learning how to write in cursive. But just because she was writing in cursive, I fucking had I was shocked.
Dude, what? Look, first of all, it's so funny that they never. It's always between second and third grade.
Always, yeah.
Always. And the whole time is like, where do you get to cursive? You want? They were fucking on us from first grade to second.
Yeah.
You weren't paying attention because they just yelled, when we get to cursive, you will be failed for this.
Like, how rude is it when, like, you would get a thing back in, like, first grade and it'd be, like, sloppy. But all the fucking answers were right. But I'm like, that's just rude to bring up. And then, like, they'll say to you,
That's
and they'll
right.
be like, there can't be this kind of sloppiness when it comes to cursive. Oh, it'll get sloppier. It's going to get fucking sloppier.
They literally acted like whatever grade was ahead of you was going to be so much more hardcore.
God. Yes, exactly. You're in fifth grade. They're telling him, you're not going to pull this shit in sixth grade. I know that much. Everything was like a
threat.
Yeah. But you know, I had this thing when I was in kindergarten. And I was meeting my kindergarten teacher before the first day of kindergarten. And so she was talking to my mom and she was just trying to figure out, hey, does she know how to write anything yet? Like, well, we're going to be doing that. And I think my mom said yes, and she writes her name, and it's like, oh, let me see. And I wrote my name out. And then she looked at it and she goes, yes, but we will need to master lowercase as well as capital. And I remember thinking about it the whole way home. Like, she couldn't just give me one compliment. Like, I'm a preschooler. I'm writing my name. You know what I mean? It just really pissed me off. Like, I thought she was going to be so impressed with my beautiful handwriting. And she's just like, yeah, you don't even know what a lowercase is. And I remember, like, grilling my mom. Like, what does she even mean by that? She's like, well, it's a different way to write, and she's going to teach you all about it. She didn't even care.
No.
She didn't even care.
They don't fucking care about shit.
This is why kids hate teachers.
It's one of the reasons why kids hate teachers.
I changed my whole strategy with teachers when I got to high school, where I was like, I'm just going to be upfront with them that I don't understand anything that's going on, and I'll come for after school stuff and just understand that I'm trying. And then one teacher was really like, no, you're going to get this. And then 3 months in, he goes, his name was Mr. Salvador, and he goes, Vito, you never even get Spanish. It's okay. I'm just going to give you a 70. And I was like, that's all I want, man.
Dude, you can't get radio. I mean, at this fucking point, I'm the same way as Mr. Salvador. Okay? Or El Salvador.
Just give me that 70. That's all I want, man. Just don't
You're
send me
getting
to
the
summer
70 in
school.
radio. And you know what? Most of that is his own personality.
Give everyone their grades.
No.
Please don't. I don't want to hear it.
I'm not going to do that.
I don't want to hear it.
If I was going to be totally honest, Jesus. Now, the one thing I always had going with me, I loved reading.
Yeah.
Not all kids, like I would sit with the stupid kids, but I would be reading a fucking book. I loved fiction when I was a kid.
Yeah, I absolutely. It was like one of the few things. Probably because you could do it on your own and then you could like come back. Like I liked having a conversation about a book we were reading, but then you got to read it on your own.
I remember even in fifth grade, they had something called SRA where you had to read it, take a quiz, then you could turn to the next level. I was going like a bat out of hell. Like you just worked on your own, just you reading, you taking the quiz, grading it yourself and deciding whether you got it. I was going through reading levels like there was no tomorrow. And this fucking teacher goes, are you cheating at SRA? I go, why would I cheat at SRA? Why would I want to move up into harder levels? Doesn't make sense. You're fucking grading like you don't have a care in the world in this class. You know what I mean? I'll put my head down for 2 fucking semesters.
I mean, think about what you just asked me.
Now, Jen asked me a question. Chris is fucking tapping away on that phone, though. Tapping away. Beg him not to. Who you tapping with, Chris? Let me guess. You're writing in Spanish?
I'm not
Costa
writing in
Rican girl?
Spanish. I don't know how to write in Spanish.
Mr. Salvador can help you.
It's something with another channel, that's all.
Oh, God. The volume fuck up. You got yourself into it. Remember, you bet me that it would run this weekend, and last weekend it didn't.
It did not.
How much money did we bet?
I believe $20.
I never go less than $10,000.
I don't think I would go that high. I don't think I would go that
Your settlement's in. You got your settlement.
I can't.
You got the settlement.
You can say that you got it.
I can't talk about that.
Just yes or no.
I can't talk about that.
What do you? There's a problem.
I can't talk about the settlement. I can't talk about the settlement. That's
There's
all I
a
can
problem.
say. I can't. There was a settlement. I can only say that there is.
Was it everything you wanted it to be?
I can only say there's a settlement. I can't talk about it.
They're not going to come back to you.
I feel like they are.
Seriously, you're having another one of your fucking.
You
panic
can't say
attacks.
how fast they got
So
you. Your
bring me
settlement?
my 10 G's.
I don't
on the
have
bet.
$10,000.
Then why bet?
Use some of the settlement money. That's what we're just trying to
Use the settlement. You all even mouthed to me that you got it.
Oh God.
Now Jen came up with something, and I immediately had an answer on this. And it was what out of books and movies?
So, who was what was the best fictional character?
Oh, character or character name? Because I always thought it was character name.
Character name.
Okay. Now, which way did you take it, Gail? Is character or character
I
name?
thought character name, like
Yeah.
the best fictional character name.
I have one right off the top of my head because it stayed from me from the time, and I still use it. Atticus Finch is maybe my favorite name of all time.
Such a good name. It's such a good name.
Is J.J. Gitz, is that Chinatown? For some reason, that popped into my head.
I don't know who. Yeah, that's familiar.
I know Chris has gotten his settlement money in.
I think it is.
So-
I don't know why anyone.
Do you have an answer, Chris?
I say Scrooge is a great name.
Scrooge McDuck?
No, that's Scrooge McDuck.
Ebenezer Scrooge?
Ebenezer Scrooge.
That one takes me. What do you like about it?
I think I like that he sounds like a Scrooge. It sounds
But it
like an old
doesn't
man.
sound too. I know. He's being stupid because he got his settlement.
There is. I can't talk about the settlement. None of us talk about it.
But she just, Vito's laughing at you because the name Scrooge comes from Scrooge.
Yes, I
There you
know.
go. This would
But you
match
don't-
up really well. We should name him Scrooge.
You know, fuck yourself.
Do you like Scrooge McDuck?
I like
Is
Scrooge
that part
McDuck
of you?
too.
I love that one. He swims through coins.
Now, Ebenezer Scrooge, it is an unforgettable name.
Yes.
But does it seem more of a made up
It's a
name?
little on the nose. The
Yeah.
Scrooge is a little
Right.
on the nose.
All right. What do you got, Gil?
I think the best name is Holden Caulfield. I think
That's a great fucking name.
He seems like a Holden Caulfield. It's aesthetically a good name to say, and I don't know how to explain this better than when you read it, it sounds good in your head.
Yeah.
Like the name Holden, the full name Holden Caulfield. It's perfect.
It's a good name. Now, all of us have gone to great books, and is that almost cheating? Because you're saying, oh, this great character has a great name, but does anybody have a great name? And you're like, that's a shitty character to have. All right, Jen, you brought this up, so you must have one.
Well, I was thinking of Cruella DeVille because
Cruella
I was writing it, and I was like,
yeah.
it looks so cool just to write.
Yeah, and it does seem evil. You're not going to be Cruella DeVille, the nice
DeVille.
person.
Like
you know?
devil.
Yeah, like the devil himself. From the fruits of the devil. Do you?
No, he didn't do me yet.
Are you going to say Fred Flintstone?
I'm not going to say Fred Flintstone. I'm going to say Stephen Willie Beeman from Any Given Sunday. I love that name. I love the song that he made that goes with the name. I don't even like
First of
the
all,
movie
you're just
that
trying
much.
to be Dave. That was his favorite character, East Side Dave of all time.
Yeah.
And there's a reason no one wants to be called Steeman because of Cleveland Steamer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Steeman.
I hear steam and I think shit.
Yeah.
100%.
I just think Stephen Willie Beeman. I don't even like the movie that much. I just like the character name. I like sports characters' names, like Mox from Varsity Blues. I always like that guy's name.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody has any better fictional names than real baseball names. Real baseball names,
Yeah.
were always the all-time best. Because they have this. There's a non-threatening thing to a baseball name that a mafia name doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like Machine Gun Kelly. Why do you call him that? Because he takes the machine gun and he shoots people. You know what I mean?
You know what I like about that name though?
Machine Gun, and then Kelly, kind of a feminine sound.
Yeah.
And I like that
It's
mixture.
like being shot by a pretty person.
I have one that is from a movie, and this is a side character, because there's always a lot of good side character names.
Yes.
Because those could be kind of fun. But I think the name Tony Rocky Horror is the funniest fucking
I
thing.
always love that name too.
Tony Rocky Horror is so funny.
Do you think that the guy's last name was like horror or something familiar?
Yes.
So they called him, or was it like Rock something?
Rock. Yeah, is his name Tony Rock, and they call him Tony Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, like in Days of Confused, they called him Randy Pink Floyd.
Well, then his name was Randall Floyd.
Yeah.
So they called him Randall Pink Floyd. That's something only Randall Pink Floyd's going to
Here's one that I know you've mentioned before. Chili Palmer.
Chili Palmer
It's a
is
great
a
character
great
name.
Yeah. You ever notice that if you're going to have a nickname, you want to have a easy kind of white bread last name?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you can't do it. Now there was a guy that was still a legend because I was friend with an old guy in my neighborhood who lived in that neighborhood for like 85 years, right? So he used to tell me where everything that went along. This was the German street. This was the Italian street. This was the Irish street. And there was an Italian bully kid, right? And his name was Butt Ripetti. And he would still talk and drop. I'm like, this guy was like 85. He would drop his voice as if Butt Ripetti was going to fall. And he goes, because Butt Ripetti's sister used to get around a little bit, and Butt didn't like it. And he would say, the kids would even yell, here comes Butt Ripetti, and people would run back to their apartments. And I'm like, I was dying to see a big picture of Butt. Where did that nickname came from?
Yeah, like why? Like Butt Ripetti is so strange.
Yeah. But, the Italians were always really quick with a nickname. You know what I mean?
They do like a nickname.
And just if you happen to be eating something, you could be stuck with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that stinks.
You could just be called Ladyfingers because they saw you eating a fucking pastry.
And then later you're going to have to be like, come on, can we just change? The more you try to change your nickname, the more people will dig in.
Yeah.
So there's no hope for you.
Yeah, there's nothing
you're
you can do.
Ladyfingers, you're fucking Ladyfingers.
You hope that you do something else later. You know what I mean? You hope that you end up shitting your pants, so they're fucking going to quickly go to that. Chris, you were always a big reader of the sci-fi world. Out of all that, what is your favorite name out of all the sci-fi people?
I would think the dude from 1984. I can't remember his name.
That would be odd that that's your favorite name out of all of it when you can't remember the dude's name. Vito, you look like you had something to add to this.
Lando Calrissian's a great
there
name.
You go.
Yeah, that is a good name.
And and if you look back, that character had almost nothing to do. Nothing.
Yeah.
In that first one. He just lived in the fucking city in the clouds, which, again, why are you living there? Because you can? Because it doesn't look like it's a nice place to live.
Yeah, like where's the ground?
Yeah, and also, like, what are you going to do? Walk along and fall off fucking a thing? You're not going to just even live on a plateau anywhere. You want to be able to get out a little bit. If I lived in that cloud city, I'd probably spend most of the time in my house.
And that's a name like, I know it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you're not like the biggest Star Wars fan, like you're going to remember that
Right.
name because it sticks out.
But you'd be surprised how little fucking screen time.
Yeah,
Lando
very
have.
little.
Very little.
I'm going to give you another sci-fi.
Yeah.
Alien. Her name is Ripley.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cool name because it's actually supposed to be her last name.
Yeah.
But the way I believe I had read this before, that the script was written with no genders decided. All the characters were just given last names.
Right.
And so Ripley could have been a guy or a girl.
Normally, that would be gender decided because we don't go around calling women by their last name the way guys do.
Yes.
So that did, in the case of that movie, you were told, here's a female heroine who's different than any that you've ever seen before.
Right.
This takes place in the future. He wears a fucking t-shirt like a dude. I don't know what's happening there. Something has changed. They just call her Ripley because they're kind of scared of her. Do you ever notice that in sci-fi, men and women tend to wear the same clothing? They've acted like, hey, we're all wearing the same clothing. And two, style's out the window. No one is trying to express themselves like in Star Trek. No one is trying to express themselves
Right.
with clothing at all.
Yeah, it's a very common thing. And it's weird to think of because it happens all the time where it's like this kind of like genderless clothing where
Right.
everyone's like wearing like little space suits or, you know, pant type things and everything's all matching. And it's kind of weird that there certainly is a leaning right now where we're starting to question gender and how valid that is for defining people in the workplace, the way you raise your kid. Do you really want to tell you're a girl, you like pink, you like princess, you're a boy, you like blue, you like sports. So like, what if that's just like one of those things, like we kind of knew that was a direction that we were going in, is being less stuck to our gender.
Right.
You know, because you've talked about it before, like, isn't it weird that we came up with the concept of robots? And before we ever had any robots, there were fiction about robot uprising.
And we're literally building robots to look like robots. Like, why are we building a robot with a hand like a person? And right now, they're just building the hands, not even the whole robot. They're like, well, I think I can work on a hand. Why does a robot need a hand?
It's not a person, but we want to make it like that.
When you're building a building, you don't have the fucking crane have just like a human hand come down, try to pick up a board and put it up somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we don't really need that, but we know that these robots are going to be an expression of us.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We've already decided that. And we know that we're going to have conflict because from the beginning of people thinking that could be a possibility, that we could have artificial intelligence, we've been thinking, and we might not be able to trust it. It might get out of hand.
Well, maybe there's a part of that we're like, oh, if you build a robot, it'll do all your things for me. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that slavery is wrong, right? We know that. And yet what we're trying to do is, I'm going to build everyone a mechanical slave. Treat it any way you want. You're the god of that slave.
Right. And whether that thing is for work, the sex purposes, a sex robot is your own personal sex slave. It's I get to call all the shots and this thing doesn't get to say no.
But why don't we consider a dildo or a pocket pussy to be a sex slave? Because they don't have a face?
Because they don't have a face and they don't seem to emote back to us.
But why don't we act like a clock is a slave? It just sits there clicking for us. What it would really like to do is dance. But we say stand there. All right. Out of everything that everyone picked out, my favorite fictional character name is Guy from 1984.
Winston Smith.
Did you ever think to yourself, I'm going to put, because you looked it up.
Yes.
Did you ever think to yourself, I'm going to put less into this show than I even did in my schoolwork or my job as a son?
Also,
Never
it sounds
thought
like
that.
his last name is just Smith, the most common.
He was the everyman.
Seriously.
I
Seriously.
mean, it's a half good, I guess.
My favorite fictional name is Adam. Dana Gould is coming up next. We've got a first responders tweet at Dana Gould and Bennington Show for a chance to win the signed Unmasked poster. I was with Dana as we walked in, and he was very happy with that poster because he looks really badass on that
Yeah, that's a
poster.
great-
I guess it's from his album.
Yeah.
The posters have been amazing. Like, we've had some really incredible posters lately.
Yeah.
The Pamela Adlon was amazing. The Dana Gould one I love.
Yeah. Can we get my name even smaller on it so it looks like I barely exist? I'd rather see Winston Smith's fucking never paid attention to name up there. It's because you used to smoke Winston's before Marlboros. This is so cool, man. Smoking up. All right, let's take a break. Let's come back with the Unmasked. If you're a fan of the Simpsons, you'll get into this. If you're a fan of stand-up. And of course, he's got that IFC show right now, Stand Against Evil. When he went to Comic-Con, big lines to come and see him there. People love this kind of horror. So we'll be right back for Unmasked with Dana Gould. It's the Bennington Show. I'm Bennington, Gail Bennington, I'm Bennington. Unmasked is about to start with Dana Gould, and you have a great prize lined up that Vito got for you. Vito, tell everybody what it is.
It's a signed poster by Dana Gould. Tweet at Bennington Show and at Dana Gould. And I'm going to choose a winner, and I'm going to send it to you on Monday.
Stop being aggressive. It should be a happy,
This is a good thing,
positive
by the way.
thing. So first responders, you know how to play the game.
Tweet at Dana Gould. Tweet at Bennington Show. Let us know what you're thinking. Something nice.
Something nice.
Yeah, something
Something
nice,
nice.
nice. And you get a prize.
All right, we'll be right back after this Unmasked Bennington. Dana Gould, everybody. Milk it, milk it.
I think I'm a piker. I've been doing this a long time. Huh?
Well, good to see you.
Thanks for having
and
me on.
Congratulations for the show. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's. I'm really happy. It only took 30 years in the business.
Yeah.
To come up with the most obvious idea I've ever had. But yeah, it's doing really well. And today's just one of those days that everything happened. I have a new album that came out today, comedy album.
Yeah.
Came out today. It's not really an album.
Mm-hmm.
It's a download.
Right.
And you used to say that my album is out, and now they say my download has dropped. But that sounds like something that would happen to Grandpa at the last Thanksgiving he's ever invited to.
Yeah. So there's no physical copies.
There's no physical copies. There might be a vinyl release later because I'm always looking for ways to lose money.
Yeah.
But it's called Mr. Funny Man, and it's on everything.
Now you must have grown up with comedy albums, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a huge part of my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm from Massachusetts, and we were a big George Carlin household. Mm-hmm. And I have older brothers, and so yeah, we had all the Carlin albums, all the Cheech and Chong albums, and then when I got to be about 12, 13, Steve Martin, that's when he first broke.
Right.
And I had all of that stuff. So that's why, and I find, like, in terms of having a special versus having an album, it's fun to have a special, and it's fun to be on a billboard down by the airport for 4 days. But it's also, I find that the album lives longer, because it's serious, basically.
Right.
That people will go back and re-listen to an album, or they'll hear you on the radio. People tend not to sit down and watch a special again.
Right.
And we will listen to an album again.
And it also is just an unbelievably different experience to listen to stand up as opposed to watch it. I remember being a kid, being just like amazed, like my imagination just flew, like not only who was this guy, but who are the people who somehow knew where this thing was?
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
How do they know? I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to hear a great Richard Pryor album, and then to see like live in concert or something,
right?
Which for my dollar is the finest example of, like, if an alien came here and said, like, what stand-up comedy, I would show them Richard Pryor live in concert and go, like, well, that's as good as we can do it. And to see that, they're different experienes.
Yeah, but yeah, there is a kind of a Sergeant Pepper about that, right? Like, we're not going to be able,
in the sense that he was on a lot of acid at the time.
Yes.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. And actually,
there is. That's pretty much the peak of the mountain.
Yeah. And actually, Richard did more drugs than all four Beatles. So
yes,
that's
true. Yeah,
that was something to be proud of. Yeah. But I also think, like, that is where we went from, like, okay, it's a show business career to it's an art form. Let's see how far you can push yourself, torture yourself to be a comedian.
I think it was a movement that, I think Lenny Bruce did it before his time and suffered the consequences. And I think that he was one of the first stand-ups to really elevate it to an art form. I used to say that in the evolutionary chart of show business, where opera singers and ballet stars are here, the comedians are right here, right in front of the guy that fluffs the donkey. Way down there. And that tunes up the clown car. He was one of the first people to really elevate it into an art form. It can be, but it's a gutter art form, and those are my favorite kinds. It's a folk art. It's not.
But do you think that, like if you look at a Jerry Seinfeld, people are almost like, but he's didn't suffer enough for this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
No, I'm not saying he didn't suffer enough. I'm not saying he didn't suffer enough, although clearly he didn't. It's different kinds of things. It's like, I love. You can love the blues and you can love pop. It's just the kind of thing. Jerry Seinfeld says on his new special, he stands in front of his house and he goes, "This is the house I grew up in. If I was raised in Peoria by a pimp and a prostitute, would I have been funnier? Maybe. This is what I had to work with."
Right.
So I think he's self-aware of it. And, out of comedy comes the kind of comedy that I like and that I do comes out of pain and the lesser enviable human emotions, because I just think it's better to laugh about that stuff. It comes to me more naturally. It's also an Irish thing, maybe, so I always gravitate towards that more. It's just different. It's different tastes.
And Carlin did bring in that Irish Catholic type comedy. It kind of really, that was the first time I remember being a kid hearing like Class Clown and having him bring up the church, and I'd never heard that before.
And it's interesting too because he had both careers. He was a very traditional, straight-laced supper club show business comic. He had wore a suit and he had a haircut and he and was clean shaven. And around 67, 68, he just like I can't do this anymore. And he became an artist. He went from being an entertainer and became an artist. And he was the guy that I grew up with. And I really, and it's funny, I had a very boisterous household. 4 brothers, a sister, 2 parents, 1 4-bedroom house with 1 toilet. Which is why I developed a habit that I had to be broken of, like well into my 20s, where you would announce that you're going to the bathroom. Because if you only have one toilet and you have 6 people in the house, like you have to say in case somebody else has to go, like I'm peeing. Wait, let me go first. And I was like went through college and I was living with some people in a house in Boston, and like you don't have to tell us when you go to the toilet. Learn behavior, but. Yeah, it was funny whenever George Carlin would be, there were a couple things George Carlin would be on TV and everybody would shut up and watch it.
Sure.
Yeah, it was one of those things.
Yeah, that was always, when there wasn't comedy everywhere, when you found out like Rickles was going to be on the Tonight Show or Carlin, you were just like, holy shit.
Yeah, you go get the TV Guide and look for the TV Guide. Yeah.
Or if you were lucky enough that one of them co-hosted Mike Douglas for a week, you suddenly like, I got to get home.
You got to get home by 4. Right? Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And it was so funny when Jerry Lewis passed away. I went down a big Jerry Lewis rabbit hole on YouTube, and I was watching the Jerry Lewis roast from 1968, and Don Rickles was on, and it was not only hilarious, nothing he said you could say today.
Right.
Nothing out of his mouth.
Yeah.
His first joke was, Jerry, I know we're here roasting you, and it's all fun and games, but I have to say, Jerry, from the bottom of my heart, you're a Jew. Okay. People are going, but he had one joke that really was just a genuinely funny joke. It was such a genuinely funny joke. When Jerry's a clown, and there are a lot of great clowns. Emmett Kelly. That's about it. It's so funny.
And those guys were really alone at that point doing comedy. I mean, there was a couple dozen people?
Yeah. It was, you were mostly opening acts. Like the real traditional showbiz guys. You would like go out on the road with, the Four Seasons or, whoever, and you'd open for them.
And so even from an early age, this was a dream of yours.
Yeah, I wanted to be a stand-up comic from when I was about, 13, 14. And I started when I was 17.
But I also heard you say
you were when I was 30.
Right. But, that's also, like you said, that same thing with Carlin. There has to be craft before there's art. You know what I mean? Like you have to really...
And I think with any, like a musician or a sculptor or a painter, you're not going to do anything worthwhile until you know who you are.
Right.
And I don't think anybody knows who they are until they get in their late 20s, early 30s, and you've just kind of made your mistakes. I had the joy of I was working in Boston when I started out in the 80s, working in Boston in the comedies scene there. It was like the Wild West. It was like everybody was getting paid in cash. Everybody was on massive amounts of coke. And I was just literally a child. I was 18 years old with no social skills whatsoever. I would have killed me if I knew me.
Right.
I must have been totally insufferable. But I was good. Technically. I didn't have anything to talk about, but I was technically good. And I worked a lot because I didn't do drugs and I had a car.
Yeah.
So people say, great, well, Dana will drive you to the gig and you don't have to give him any blow.
Yes.
And so I worked all the time. Everybody loved me. And it was, looking back on it now, it was just such a different era.
But an amazing scene to come out of when.
Yeah, you had to be good.
Yeah.
You really, those crowds in the 80s, they were tough. And you had to really go out and grab them by the throat and stand on them, or you were dead.
But I think Barry...
It's a port city.
Yeah.
It's a port city.
When Barry Crimmins kind of set that up early on, it was, here's what I expect out of you. There's no hack jokes. There's no ripping off other comics. Yeah. And because of that, it seems like there's still generations of great comedians coming out of Boston.
You're right, and that is what he did. And Barry was one of those people that vigorously hated me when I was a child. But for which I don't blame him, and with whom now I'm very good friends. It's like, yes, when you were 21, you were hard to be around. I understand. I understand.
So, who were some of the people that you broke in? Who was all part of that scene?
In Boston, it was Crimmins, Bob Goldthwait, Dennis Leary was around. And then the big local guys, Steve Sweeney, Don Gavin. Then I moved to San Francisco, and I came up with Jake Johansson, some people named John Ross. Became friends with Robin Williams at a really weird early time in my career. And then I moved down to L.A. And when I moved to L.A. in the late 80s, two weird things happened. I became very good friends with a comedian that I was just texting with, a guy named Kevin Rooney. Mm-hmm. And Kevin was part of that. I was like Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, Bill Maher, Kevin Rooney, Larry Miller, Richard Lewis. All those guys, they came out of New York in the mid 80s, and they all moved to L.A. and they were all a gang out there. And Kevin was basically a writer, but he was a brilliant stand-up when he did stand-up. But he was a writer for Jay and for Dennis Miller and all that gang. So I was Kevin's friend. He was sort of like an older brother to me, and he took me around, and I hung out with all of those people, and would go to their house with Kevin, and then I would go on the road, and they would ask me to middle for them, and I would go out on the road and middle. So I knew all those guys that I just mentioned thought of me as like, well, he's one of our gang. Yeah. And then just behind me were the people that came up behind me from San Francisco that were my age, but didn't start as early as I had, like Patton Oswalt, Brian Posehn, Blaine Capatch, David Cross, all that group. Yeah. And I was a part of that group because they were my age and we went to the same concerts and we did. So I was sort of like in between these two generations of comics. And so when we started doing alternative comedy, I could go and do those shows, but then I could also go to the Improv and work with Leno. Right. I was going in between two sort of groups, and it was nice to have kind of a foot in both sides. But it was also a little confusing. Sure, right.
Because you're going on one side, this kind of what kind of started in the 80s kind of stuff is your bread and butter. That's what you know. But at the same time, you wanted to experiment a little bit.
Yeah, in the alternative scene that I was there in Los Angeles in the beginning, with Ginny Garofalo and David Cross and Kathy Griffin and all of us. Was just, you go to the Improv and you would try out new material and then they go, oh, the guy from The Tonight Show was there and he saw you didn't do well. Like, well, yeah, I was trying out new material. Of course I didn't do well. Yeah. That's why it's called the Improv, because we're supposedly flying by the seat of our pants. So we wanted to do comedy in places where we could bomb if we had to and try out new stuff. And I remember very strange. I saw Elvis Costello at the Universal Amphitheater, which is now Harry Potter Town. And I was looking at all those people. I was like, why aren't these people coming to our comedy shows? These are the people that are our age.
Right.
But by that time, they weren't going to comedy shows. So we started going into these little hipster coffee places. There was one place called Big and Tall Books, a place called Largo. We just went to where our friends were and just started foisting shows upon them. And there was a rule that you couldn't do any material that you hadn't done before. It had to be new. So you wrote it that day, and then you would have to bring your notebook on stage with you because you didn't know it yet. And that was the birth of bringing your notebook on stage with you. That later somehow got perverted into don't memorize your act. I was never a part of that. It is a job. You should learn it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But that was the and then I would go to the Improv and hang out with like Kevin and Bill Maher and those people, and they would bring notebooks on stage. What are kids doing? And I was like, I felt like the hippie hanging out with the jazz guys. Hey, come on, man, we're all groovy. It's like I was going back and forth. It was very schizophrenic.
But let's say at Largo there was always still the music mixed in. And out, right?
Which I think that's best. I think I don't like comedy as every dish on the plate.
Right.
It's the side meal better. You know.
Yeah.
Largo was my favorite place to perform.
Still to this.
I there on the 29th of October.
Yeah. But that was for you at that point in your career with this. Fun times, exciting times. You're like, why?
Oh, it was great. It was. I didn't really go. I mean, I went to college, but I didn't have a college experience because I was already doing stand up.
Right.
So I was taking classes, and then I was going out at night and doing shows around Massachusetts. I didn't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be a comedian, and so I didn't have a college experience. And it wasn't until I moved to LA in the early '90s. And my social circle sort of congealed with, Janine, Bob Odenkirk, David Cross, the whole Ben Stiller show group, that was my college. Like that was when we would go to everybody was at somebody's house every night. We would go to, we all went to the same parties. We all went to the same concerts. We all went to the same movies. We sort of moved in a pack and it was really a beautiful time, and I didn't realize it at the time, of course. But that was sort of like my college years. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is,
because I was on stage, I was pulling way more chicks than a person who looks like me should have.
Obviously, somehow still works. No one understands why, but it does.
Let's be honest.
He was
I look like a toe.
Yeah.
I know what I'm playing with. But somehow
he was just up there. Now he's down here. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My God, he's short. Yeah.
But even if you could say that,
George Carlin once said that any woman who sleeps with a comedian is like somebody who sees an organ grinder and fucks the monkey.
No one said they weren't broken, but they're
apologies to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Apologies to my girlfriend, which is another one, an expression like girlfriend. Like I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I'm divorced. I have children. I'm an adult. I'm in a very serious relationship with a lovely woman. She's not my girlfriend.
Right.
She's a woman, but. Woman friend again.
Yes, that's odd.
Sounds like somebody Grandpa has to take to dinner if the machine fails. It's like, Grandpa's going to bring his woman friend because he can't keep anything down. Celia, Grandpa's blue. Yeah, I don't know what to call her.
Now, we were talking about like when you're that young and you're having fun. The weird thing that happens to kids still today is they don't see how cool it is because they're so amped for the next step and stand up.
Yeah. Oh, that was me at the time.
Show business acceptance.
That was me at the time. Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you even you said Jerry's last thing, he goes back to that time where this was great. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's got $10 billion right now, but it's going, hey, this might
He lost $50 billion?
Yes. Sad. He's a gambler. Jerry's a gambler.
Jerry has a great thing where he eats wood pulp and throws up money.
But that is odd that we missed that at the time. Everybody.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's also just the human nature. You don't realize it's great at the time.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than that guy in high school who is like, This is it, guys.
Yeah, right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Usually he's still doing it 30 years later.
Yeah. He's
the guy who drive through town and like, oh, God, it's him. I can't.
He's waiting for everybody to come back.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey in that one movie. Oh, God, what was that one? He plays that character so well.
Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. He plays that character so perfectly. In that movie.
And that guy's probably still there.
Sure.
Probably still dating high school girls.
Yep. Yep. Well, now that Hef's gone, somebody has to take over.
Well, you...
I was thinking Hugh Hefner's girlfriend. Somewhere in L.A., there's an 18-year-old woman who had an abusive relationship with her parents, and she moved out and was dating Hugh Hefner, and now she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore, and she's just trying to take her mind off it, so maybe she turns on the TV, but it's just watching a movie, but it's Halloween, so it's like the mummy's on. She sees the mummy come up out of the coffin, and she just thinks, God, I see him everywhere I look.
Now, you're a kid who also loved horror. That's how this horror and comedy thing came together for you. But
it's true. I finally found a niche.
Yeah. But you also had said before that you were an anxious kid, and I always was wondering why anybody would like to be scared. What is that feeling?
Well, to be somewhat serious, I was a train wreck of a child, really high-strung emotionally, full of anxiety, grew up in a very chaotic environment, never had a lot of emotional stability, and loved, and as I said, I have 4 older brothers. All my brothers hunted, played sports, are big athletes. My dad, same thing. I liked Star Trek and horror movies. And my father, at the time, you have to realize this is the 70s, couldn't reconcile the fact that I didn't want to play sports, that I didn't want to go hunting, but I was straight.
Right.
Couldn't see how that figured out, you know? And I talked about this often with my live-in male companion. No, I'm kidding. But it was just like, it was a very, like, nobody saw, I didn't feel like anyone saw me, and it was not great. That's why I'm funny. But what I think that the horror movies did was you get excited, and I actually think it acted like Ritalin. I think that the increased adrenaline that you get counteracted the anxiety, and I think that actually it made me feel better watching it.
That's really interesting.
My daughter takes Ritalin, and I was really against it. I was really against it, and you know what? She's much better on it. She's better at school. She's better at sports. It just levels out that stuff, and I think that that's what it did. And also, there's when you're a kid, horror movies, like the old horror movies that I grew up watching, the old black and white ones, you relate to the monster because the monster's like you. He's an outcast that everybody's afraid of. And you're like, yeah, I get that. That. Yeah.
So that actually was like, okay, here's something scary. I already see the world is scary.
Yeah.
Maybe here's a way of.
Yeah, I was obsessed with Planet of the Apes, and somebody said, yeah, because there's this guy trapped in this world that was totally upside down to him. I was like, I knew exactly how he felt.
Yeah.
I was like, I had a gun cabinet in my bedroom when I was a kid. I woke up and the first thing I saw was 8 rifles because it was the only room in the house that the gun cabinet fit in. And I'm not lying. And none of this is a lie. And I just wake up and like, oh yeah, just guns everywhere. Okay. I remember this is a true story. I have a great, relationship with them. I mean, this is all in the past. I have a great relationship with my parents now. And, you realize that they are who they are and they did the best that they could.
Sure.
Doesn't speak well of their abilities. But I was dating a woman who lived in San Francisco whose father ran the local NBC affiliate, and they had this big house in Marin. And I remember being at their house, and some kind of famous guy came over to talk to his dad, and I was like, called my parents like, I'm at this crazy rich person's house in Mill Valley, and this guy knows somebody who was famous. I can't remember who it was, and my mother just goes, well, your brother shot a deer today. But he winged it. He only caught it by its ear. So your father chased it and grabbed it by its antlers and drowned it. Okay. Right. Okay, then.
Yeah.
You win. I got to get back to earth,
Right.
as they say.
But even when we were talking about those show business, like you're excited to see, did that at least bring you guys together, or were you on your own seeing if Carlin was going to be on TV that night? Did they get?
They got that. Yeah, Carlin was one of the. That's what I was saying, and it was like that was the thing that we all liked.
Right.
You know, Clint Eastwood movies, George Carlin, a couple other things, James Bond movies. Those are the things that we all agreed we liked, and not surprisingly, those are things that I still have a lot of great love for.
Right, because that's your one connection. Like,
yeah,
we're all
get
together.
along. Yeah, and we still, it's the same thing. We're all grown adults now. And we don't, I'm the only member of my family that did not vote for Donald Trump. I'm the only, and so we just don't talk about it, but we can talk about who was on Andy Griffith today, it's like we still have that stuff.
That's fun. Me and my family still talk politics. Either way.
We can't do it.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen.
Now, what was school like for you? Because you're a funny kid, or
I was really, and everybody in my family is really funny, and I was a pretty funny kid. Yeah, and that there was the. In where I grew up in Massachusetts in the 70s and 80s, there were the jocks and what we would call the burnouts, which are the druggy kids. And then there's this small clique that was in the middle that made fun of both of them, and that was me and my two friends.
Right. But teachers never catch on to comedy talent, when it's not like
I had two that did.
Yeah.
In fact, the first time I did stand-up comedy, I was 2 weeks after I graduated high school. I was 17 years old, and I was driven into Boston to perform at open mic night at the Ding Ho with Lenny Clark. And it was my high school librarian and her husband.
Wow.
That said, no, you should do this. We'll bring you in.
That's really, really interesting. And now they'd be arrested for that very same thing.
And here's another thing that should have been creepy that isn't. One of my best friends in high school was a Catholic priest. We had this young priest in our parish, and I didn't. I was a altar boy out of so there'd be something to do on Saturday.
That's beautiful, by the way.
and we had a priest who had the parish van, and before my friends and I had driver's licenses, we'd go to the movies, we'd go get a pizza, we'd hang out, and greatest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Nope. Straight shooter. Never a problem.
As far as you can remember.
As far as I can remember.
Yeah.
I have no memory of 1979. But I'm sure it's fine. They did later remove a wristwatch from. No. He was a super, super great guy, and always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah. But
too soon.
Yeah. But for a kid who grew up loving show business, right? Your career must be so fun because you're
awesome.
in the middle of so many things. And it's great if you keep that appreciation.
I do, totally.
Yeah.
Every day I drive on Mulholland, which kills me. I grew up watching Dragnet.
Yeah.
It takes place in LA, and I was like, I want to live there. I watch the Brady Bunch. I want to live there. That's where I live. And I never lost on that. And there are things like my favorite movies. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is my favorite movie of all time is Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Okay. So before until my divorce, I lived in Roddy McDowell's house. My wife and kids still do. I live up the street. I was like, I own Roddy McDowell's house. I don't live there. But no, it's not like that. And it's Roddy McDowell's house. And, I can go out to where Planet of the Apes was filmed. I found a chunk of the city in the dirt in Malibu Park. I love the movie Ed Wood. The guys that wrote it, Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, who wrote The People versus O.J. Simpson, and all that, they're friends of mine. I love An American Werewolf in London. I worked with John Landis for a while. I never take that for granted. I never get bored of that. Yeah, I spent time with Mel Brooks last month.
That's pretty amazing. Huh?
Yeah, it's just
there's
crazy.
There's a guy who is still as funny as
terrifyingly intelligent.
Yeah,
he's literally he's 91, might be 92 now.
Yeah,
and it was just like the Russian Revolution, and he'll just go from
Right, yeah.
about the origins and
Yeah.
effects of the Russian Revolution. And he's also met every single human being. We were
Yes.
talking about his movie High Anxiety, and he went, "You know what Hitchcock told me about that?" And I go, "Right,
Yes, that makes sense.
You would have known him." Just crazy to me.
Also, the thing about Mel is the detail that he remembers every story.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about the show of shows once, and he went down and told me what everybody in the writing staff ordered for lunch on this particular day. And I'm like, this is like a one-man documentary wherever he's going.
That's funny.
But
Yeah,
that's
that
the
sounds like him.
Yeah, but that's the stuff that can kind of wake you up to your own story. You know, to know that when you were a kid you loved something.
Yeah,
and now
totally.
you're welcomed into that
Oh,
world.
I became friends with George Carlin. That was the
Yeah.
thing that ended it for me. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, we spoke on the phone
Yeah.
from our houses. That, to me, like, nothing will top that. That was just like, George Carlin called about something, and I called him back, and we talked about it. And that was just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah, that was that. And my wife and I, my wife was an agent, and she worked with Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to see them at the Groundlings do this benefit show, and we said hello, and we were talking to him, and then we were leaving, and we just heard, "Good night, Dana. Good night, Sue," and we turned it was Paul Reubens. And I was just like, that's insane.
Yes.
That's insane.
My TV has walked out into my life. Yeah.
Yeah. And then not long after that, just to show how that generation won't appreciate it, they did the Pee Wee's Playhouse Live at the Nokia Theater, and we took our daughters, and then they went backstage and they met Paul, and it was very lovely. And then he came to our house about a month later for a charity benefit we had, and he walked in the door, and my daughter's about 6. She goes, "Pee Wee, come upstairs. I want to show you my room." Suddenly, I want to show you my room.
Yeah, I want to show.
No, you talk to them later.
Well, from the Simpsons, I know you got to know Albert Brooks, and when I was
No, he was my.
that was
my
the
other
guy.
Yeah, he was the B-side to the Carlin thing. George Carlin was my comedy obsession when I was a kid and growing up. Once I became a comedian, and Albert Brooks was the guy that allowed me to become. George Carlin allowed me to become a comedian. Albert Brooks allowed me to become the comedian that I am.
Yeah.
He was the guy that I saw how the material itself was irrelevant, that it was him. It was the way he talked, the way he carried himself, his entire personage, that Carlin did not really have. Carlin was very literate. And I took both of those and combined them, and that's my shtick. But, and Albert, and this is like Janine Garofalo and I were friends now, and we were just obsessed with him. Just obsessed with him.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet him, which was crazy. And then to know him and to have him say my name. Like, we were at a Simpsons party, and I was kind of looking at him out of the corner of my eye because I'd met him a couple of times, and then he just went, "Hello, Dana." And again, that was just like, God, this is crazy. This is so crazy. Yeah.
I'll give people like some of the albums or downloads now from and they're like, how did this even happen? I mean, he was doing stuff
so ahead of his time
that people don't even attempt now. The Stars Ball, where he's in a studio by himself doing a funnier album than people standing in.
And what's amazing about A Star Is Born, for people that don't know, there used to be these albums that you'd sell in the 60s and 70s where it was like, act with Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And it would be a scene, and it would be Vincent Price doing half the scene, and then there would be a script in the album, and you would read the other scene, the other actor. I don't know who bought this.
Yeah.
Because you can really only do it once.
This is the first time hearing it. I had no idea that happened.
That was the origin of that. And that was on Comedy Minus One.
Yeah.
Albert Brooks' first album. The second side of the album is all that. And it's the comedy team of Albert Brooks and you. And
it's unbelievable.
And then you get buy the album, and you get a script of a routine.
Yeah.
And then it's Albert going, "Well, hello, Joe." And you go, "Hi, Albert." And, and then it works. But if you really take the time to do it.
Yeah.
he starts leaving you less and less time to do your line. So there's a joke within the joke within the joke. There's like your line would be like, well, I have to bring the car to the garage tomorrow, or I can't go to work. What's going on? Well, I have to bring. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just madness. It's just the best.
I always remember that too, because it would be like, congratulations on your purchase of this album, and just right away he's talking to you. He's so like he's a salesman.
He's so freakishly intelligent. We were at one of these parties, and he's a big Stanley Kubrick fan, and was friends of Stanley Kubrick, and because Stanley Kubrick loved the movie Modern Romance, and told Albert that you made the movie about jealousy that I always wanted to make, and you did it, and they became somewhat friends. And then I was trying to act smart, which is never a good idea. And I said, well, you're like Kubrick, that you'll hold a shot the way he will. Like the scene in 2001 when the astronauts are in the life pod, you do that in the Quaalude scene in Modern Romance, where it's one continuous shot. And he goes, no, that's Hal not blinking. Humans blink and Hal doesn't blink. That's what that scene is. I'm like, no, I know. Yeah, I know. I was just lying before to see if you were listening. Yeah, just terrifyingly intelligent.
It also is fun to watch Albert to see how much he does keep the camera on himself. You know what I mean? Like there'll be just like other people talking, and you're just still looking at Albert. It kills me.
You can't take your eyes off him. There's just so much going on.
Yeah,
but no, again, like you talk about jokes that you could never tell today.
Yeah,
you've seen Modern Romance.
Yes.
No way a back that hairy would be allowed on the movie screen today. He looks like an escaped chimp. In one scene.
And he's a young man.
He's a young man. He's probably hirsute.
Yeah. But that's the world that you're into now, and you have written, and now, of course, you
become a comedian, you become successful, and then you get these deals. Everybody wants to make Seinfeld with you in it,
right?
And during the heyday of the '90s, I did a lot, as I've said before. I've had my hand in more failed pilots than an Air Force proctologist, and Dana was one. Dana was one. There was one called Nice Try that I now refer to as the aptly named Nice Try. But the guy that created that went on to create Malcolm in the Middle. So once he got rid of me, he found his shtick. And I got tired of writing. I got tired of sitting down with writers and explaining to them how I was funny. And so I said, I'm just going to write one. I just took the script for Nice Try, and I just said, all right, it's these many pages to act 1, and these many pages to act 2, and these many pages to act 3. So, and then I wrote a pilot, and it ended up getting made. It was called World on a String, and it was basically Seinfeld in the world of Pee-wee's Playhouse. It was a traditional sitcom stuck in this sort of children's show reality, but the problems were not children's show problems. There were genuine adult problems in this hyper world. Like, a guy thinks his girlfriend might be pregnant, and he's going to go to her house and try to get the stick out of the garbage to see if she's pregnant or not. But a weird creature comes out of the sink and takes his car keys. It was that kind of hyper real. And it didn't get made. It did get made. It didn't go to series, but I found that I really enjoyed the writing process. I thought, well, this is just as good. And then George Meyer, who was a fan of my stand-up, I was one of the giant writers on The Simpsons, said, would you want to come in and just like a day or two a week and just punch up jokes for us? And I was so dumb at the time. I was like, yes, but I can only do it on Monday or Tuesday. I can't, because I'm still going on the road. So I was like, yeah, I'll work on The Simpsons if you meet my...
Yeah, right. Because I got to be in Akron.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to go to Uncle Lucky's Chuckle Barn. I wouldn't want to miss that. And then I did that, and I really loved it. And then after about 6 months, Mike Scully, who was running the show, came in one day and he said, I think your contract is up. And I was literally gathering up my stuff like, I'm so sorry. And he just went, you want to just come every day? And I went, yeah. And he went, all right, I'll call your agent. And then he went, sucker, walked out. And that's how I became a writer on the show, and I was there for 7 years.
And that's a completely different life than what you've been doing.
Yeah, but it was perfect for me because I'd been a stand-up comedian since I was 17. I'd done all of that. I had just gotten married. I just bought a house. My wife had a big job. She was an agent. And I get to be an adult for 7 years. I was like, oh, this is great. My wife and I both have big jobs. We get invited to a lot of shishi parties. We have a nice house. We make a lot of money. I get up in the morning. I drive to work. I go to an office. I sit in the office. I go home. We watch TV together. It was really great for a while. And then one day you just go, this is not my beautiful life. And one day it became so great that I wanted to shoot myself.
Yeah. Because again,
I'm a carny.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're on the Dick Van Dyke Show for a while. You're in
it was
that
great.
room, which
funny story. His real name? Penis Van Lesbian. Not a lot of people
never knew that.
Yeah.
This is really insightful and then it's just so educational. Now, but you're living in that world, hanging in a room with funny people.
Yeah. The funniest.
Yeah, the funniest.
The funniest.
Yeah.
George Meyer specifically was terrifyingly funny. And that made me a much better stand-up too. Just being with people that are working at that level.
Right.
One day we were doing what in the Simpsons, it's in a lot of things. It's called a Rube Goldberg, which is, I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's a very complicated series of things that happen. Like the game Operation when you were a kid. One thing leads to another thing and 50 things happen. So Homer Simpson was on the top of a roof and he fell off and hit not a balcony, but an awning, and then a series of awnings, and then onto a dump truck that lifted him up, and he slid down off the dump truck, and he ended up in the back of a dump truck. And we didn't know how to end it. And I'm telling you, 12 of the funniest people you'll ever meet in your life for an hour and a half staring at the ceiling. How can he get out of it? What can happen? What can happen? And just everything was tried and there's nothing. And then George just goes, what if the dump truck is full of marshmallow fluff? And so he lands on the fluff and he's safe. And then a bunch of scorpions come up out of the fluff and start stinging him. And I was just like, yeah, I would not have thought of that.
Yes.
You win.
Yeah.
George was the man who wrote he would write all the Ralph Wiggum, My Cat's Breath Smells Like Cat Food.
Yeah.
That's George. He's terrifyingly brilliant. Yeah. So, it's like it's like sitting in, going on that writing staff is like sitting in with the Beatles. It's like,
sure.
I'm going to play two guys, okay?
Right. It is
Count
like,
me in.
there's always that thing like you hear session musicians and you end up finding out they're on so many of your favorite albums. And that's how those kind of writers are.
It is funny. My friend's dad was the king of those. Tommy Tedesco was in the Wrecking Crew.
I had your friend on my show. Yeah, Denny.
Oh, yeah. Well, then
when it came out.
Yeah. I went to my friend's house and there was a guitar on a frame on the wall. And I was like, what's that? He goes, oh, that's my dad's guitar. What did he play? He played Good Vibrations, God Only Knows, the Hawaii Five-0 theme, the Deer Hunter theme. Like on that.
Yeah, for 15 years, if you heard a record, he was on it,
His dad was the guitar. Yeah.
And also lived that kind of regular, I guess, L.A. life of
the valley, tiki hut in the backyard.
Yeah, that whole thing. But the daytime is like I'm trying to really get Frank Sinatra to finish this song.
There's a story of what a great guitarist he was. He was hired to the Ventures supposedly play the Hawaii Five-0 theme.
Yeah,
but the guy from the Ventures couldn't read music, so they called Tommy to come in and do it. And he comes in and goes, yeah, I can do it. And the Ventures are still there. So he looks at the shoe and he goes, okay, yeah, let's go. And he played it behind his back. He was just that good.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
And he honestly looked like anybody's dad. You know what I mean? And again,
he did it, and he was a great, and I say this now I gauge this as a parent now. His kids are great. I mean, so he did a really good job because his kids aren't assholes, which is really the big goal.
That is the number one goal.
It is the number one goal.
Yeah.
Fred Trump. I just don't want my son to be an asshole.
What a job Fred did. It was amazing. But
Fred's up in Fred's wherever he is now with Hitler's dad, and Hitler's dad is like going, well, I wouldn't have done that. That seems like you'd really mess him up if you did that.
Hitler's dad's so happy right now that there's someone else to take the heat.
Really?
Yeah, I fucked up, but this guy. This guy.
Hitler's dad's walking around hell with Fred Trump, and Hitler's dad's wearing an I'm with stupid t-shirt.
But again, that going back, that's a remarkable thing that your life has come together with those kind of stories.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative of it. Yeah,
yeah.
And and then the greatest thing, like as we said, like I loved horror movies and I became a TV writer, and then I never stopped doing stand up. But The Simpsons took whatever momentum I had in my stand up career, which was not insignificant. And I had story, you know, I got close out. I was really close to the great things. It's like, I don't have a successful career, but I have so many interesting failures. Early 90s, I'm called as like, you and these other guys are the final auditions for Saturday Night Live. And it's down to you and these groups. So me and these two guys are in LA, and we're going to fly to Chicago, and Lauren's going to come and see you, and we'll find out. So I go, okay. So we go to, and this is the God's truth. And I on my daughter's soul. I'm not even going to put my own at risk. Put my daughter's at risk. I go to Chicago. The first guy goes on stage. No, first guy goes on stage did okay. No, I went on first. I got to get this right. It's my daughter's soul. She might end up with Fred Trump if I'm not careful. I went on stage and just crushed. I just had the set of my life. It was like the building was in a slightly different spot when I was done. The other guy came up, didn't do that well. Did okay, but not that well. The third guy kind of just screwed around. And, and I'm flying back with them the next day, and we're on the plane, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going on Saturday Night Live. This is insane. And then I go immediately in my mind to, what about my apartment? Do I buy boxes? Do I rent? Do I sublet it? But I like my apartment. But I immediately went to the most mundane thing. Looking at the other two guys going, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, you'll get your moment. This is my time. Don't get too close to my exhaust. And so I told that story for years. Mm-hmm. And then my wife is now an executive at HBO. And she goes to New York to see Chris Rock in a play, and she has dinner with Chris after. And she comes back and she goes, you know that story you tell about Saturday Night Live? And I go, yeah. She goes, it's true. And I go, what? And she goes, Chris Rock at dinner told the same exact story, word for word what you said. And I was like, of course it's true. Do you think I've been lying for 14 years? If I was with you and I knew you were lying, I'd say something about it later. You didn't parachute out of one of the jets on 9/11. Oh, I know, but Carol was talking about making her own curtains, and I had to say something. You were never on the space shuttle.
But that all came down to what one guy was looking for.
Yeah, no, I never regret. No, I never had a problem with that. Yeah. I don't think I'd have done well on that show, and they did phenomenally well. And you know the torturous point I was getting to is after all those things, one day I just had this. I was just sitting working on something, and I just wanted something, and I did all of these pilots that are very traditional pilots, helping out dad, tin full of biscuits, who's got my butter, all these awful glop, for which I cashed checks. And one day I thought, what would I want to watch? I did a pilot called Nolan Knows Best, which was basically, what if my dad had to live with my wife and I and our kids? Because as I've described my dad, he's Archie Bunker without the elegance and sophistication. So we did it. Brian Denny, he played him. He was brilliant. Got made. It didn't go to series, but I had this itch. Like, that's such a good... And seeing Brian do it, is like, I know that works. I know that character works. And then I thought, but I want to make a horror show. Like, if I could make any show to watch, I would make The X-Files. That's what I watch. Or The Night Stalker, which is a reference. That's the stuff that I like. I don't watch Friends. I don't watch Seinfeld. I watch Star Trek and The Night Stalker. So I thought, well, what if I wrote The Night Stalker or The X-Files and then just put my dad in the middle of it and just had this character from a sitcom that did not belong in that world at all, but everybody had to deal with him. And I thought, yeah, I'll just do this as a digital thing just for fun. I can have my friends. I'm friends with the people that do the makeup on The Walking Dead. I said, can you make me look 70? And they went, yeah, easy. And they did a test and it worked. And I thought, I'll just make this as a little digital thing and it'll be fun to do. And then I had lunch with Pete Aronson, who works at IFC, who's just a friend of mine. And we were just catching up because I'd gotten divorced and we hadn't spoken for a while. And he was just checking in as friends do. And he just said kind of casually, he's like, you should write a funny X-Files. You should do something like that. And I literally said, I just did. I literally just did. And he's like, oh, what? And I pitched it to him and he went, well, I don't know. If you can change A to B and B to Z, that sounds like something we'd like. But you'd have to change these couple things. And I went home and I did it, and I went back and I pitched it to him, and they bought it in the room, and it became Stand Against Evil, and I finally got a TV show.
Yeah.
Literally because I stopped trying, because I was not trying to get a TV show. I just made this for myself to do, and it's just you know, this is going to sound maybe a little too old school. TV shows are like women. If they see you trying, all the air goes out of it. Mm-hmm. If you don't, it's like, all right, he doesn't care. Let's go up.
Yeah.
He doesn't want this. Let's give it to him.
But it's one thing to think up this bizarre show, but it's got to be strange to you to sit there and watch these people bring it to life.
It's surreal. And it just, this is just something that I thought up in my kitchen wearing, a bra and panties. But no, it's Janet Varney, it's John McGinley plays Stan Miller, the sheriff in a small New England town who's been hunted. There's a curse on this town that every sheriff dies young. Because the constable in the 1600s burned 172 people at the stake for witchcraft, and they put a curse on the town to kill every constable. And so every sheriff the town has ever had dies very young. John's character, Stan Miller, was not killed. And what we find out in the pilot is because his wife knew about the curse and would go out at night and kill all the demons that were trying to kill him. And so he didn't have to deal with it. But his wife dies of a heart attack, and now he's just left alone. And immediately he's beset upon by demons, and he throws a big fit at his wife's funeral because there are demons there that only he can see that other people can't. And he's cashiered out. And new sheriff comes in, who's this young woman that he's more outraged that he's been replaced by a woman than the fact that demons from another dimension want to kill him. So these two people have to team up and fight these demons every week. And Janet Varney, who plays his sidekick, Evie Barrett, or the co-star, I should say, in the pilot, this witch throws up a bunch of black stuff on her. So we're in a swamp in Georgia at 2 a.m, and it's a real swamp. And we had to have the snake wrangler go walk the set first to make sure there's no cottonmouths or anything. And then the actor that plays the witch has like a tube coming out of the side of his mouth and a tank of stuff, and you just compress it, and the stuff would shoot all this black stuff into Janet's face. And I just walked up to her and I went, I'm really, really sorry. Because it's like you think about it and it'll be funny, and then you realize, now you're going to do this to your friend. It's like, but it's so much fun. You get to design monsters, and they build the suit, and they.
And it's kind of old school when it comes to that too, right? It's like closer to.
Yeah, it suits. I mean, we have digital stuff, but I didn't want it to look like. I can tell when it's fake all the time, and I wanted it to look like the show that I would grow up watching. I wanted it to look like it was a really funny episode of The Night Gallery. I wanted it to look like it took place kind of in the 70s. They have cell phones and everything, but there's a very 70s kind of feel to it. Its pace is slow. The music is of that era. I just wanted it to feel a little alien and a little off. And then I wanted the creatures to all be organic. I wanted them to be makeup or giant puppets or whatever, right? Because that stuff has to be unquestionable if the comedy is going to work.
Right.
And that's just a weird... Comedy and horror are cousins. The screaming and laughing do the same thing. They're involuntary reflexes that release tension. So comedy and horror are created in that way. And they both require separate but equal suspensions of disbelief. And so you have to be careful where one goes, where the one doesn't go. There are 100 ways to do it wrong. Yeah.
And if you don't have a great actor in John McGinley, then all of it falls apart.
Yeah.
But there's something about him, because
he takes it incredibly seriously.
Yes.
Like if he was winking at the camera, none of it would work.
Right.
He buys it. And he asked me questions. Like the first meeting I had with John, he was like, so what was this guy's relationship with his wife? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I had her die. That's all.
Yeah, she's not really
Yeah, I
here.
didn't want to have to deal with her.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I got to know. I have to know. So I had to like create this. It wasn't difficult, but I had to create this sort of like, this is how they met and this is what she is to him. And he took all that and because he invested this character with so much humanity that was not in my script, it forced me to be a much better writer, just to write up to his performing.
Until you told me that, I didn't even realize what he's carrying too. He seems like a widower. He seems like somebody who, it's a comedy horror, but this guy's carrying around this pain.
Yeah, and I thought, the way I envisioned it, they come back from the funeral and make a sandwich and life goes on.
Right, yeah.
And no, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. And in the first season of the series ended with Janet's character Evie Barrett getting traded out with somebody from the 1600s by the spell, and now she's in the 1600s about to be burned at the stake. And then we cut back to John going like, something's not right, because he now lives in a world where she died 400 years ago. And so in the first episode of the first season, John is now the town crazy guy. He calls everybody Evie. He keeps hearing her and seeing her, but nobody knows who this person is. And he has to go find out what happened, how to fix it. I don't think it's a big spoiler alert to say my co-star doesn't die in the first episode. He rescues, he's able to extricate Evie from the situation, but then he realizes, well, if I can go back 400 years and save your life, I can go back 1 year and save my wife's life. But to do that, he has to make deals with these demons and things that he shouldn't be doing deals with. And also, if he saves his wife's life, then he never meets Evie because he never has to retire and she doesn't have to move there. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. And so the entire season, John's playing a double game where he's helping Evie kill these demons and he's on the side cutting deals to learn what he needs to learn to go back in time. And he does at the end of the season. But as I say, it's the law of unintended consequences. When you do something like that, it never goes the way you want it to.
It's hard to believe that you could keep all those balls in the air with that and then still be releasing a comedy album at the same time. It's like there is something insatiable going on with it.
Well, I also think that they both feed off each other. The comedy album, like going up on stage, allows me to just get away from all that,
right?
And just like, bah. Yeah. And then the show allows me to kind of be an adult and buckle down and do my work. And, tonight I like to stay busy. The album's out today. Tonight I'm going to the Littlefield Theater in Brooklyn to do Plan 9 from Outer Space live with a bunch of friends of mine as a reading. And then tomorrow I go back to LA and go to work on some other things. And, I like to stay busy. I don't have a lot of other hobbies.
Right, but
I've never met my children, so that helps.
Yes, they seem nice from the pictures.
I keep telling them, they just keep missing me.
Yeah,
no, they're great.
It all sounds so fun, but I remember when Robin Williams passed away, you wrote that piece about the comedy mind, and I was always wondered, had you heard from anybody from any kind of medical background or psychological background?
Well, there's the people I pay.
Yeah.
I take anti-anxiety medication, and I joke about it. I joke about it in the album. There, people go, well, some of my more like homeopathic friends are like, well, you're still feeling your anxiety. You're just masking it with medication. I was like, yeah. Yeah, that's what it says on the label. In the winter, I feel the cold. I mask it with a coat because I'm a coward.
Yeah.
Robin and I actually were pretty friendly, and I knew what was going on with him physically and mentally. Robin was not just depressed. Robin had Lowe's body dementia, which came as a side effect of his Parkinson's disease. And he quite literally, his brain physiognomy had changed. He was quite literally not himself. And so, you can't push rational thought onto an irrational mind. You can't go, well, why don't you just call somebody? It's like, get up out of your wheelchair. It's much better to walk. He couldn't, or he would have. But I never had a serious conversation about the the fact that, and I talk about it, because I've had a couple of good old nervous breakdowns. I've had about 3 really good ones. And with me, I won't sleep for like a week. And, and then you're crazy. Then you're just crazy. And the fear of not sleeping metastasizes,
Sure.
and then it becomes worse. Than the symptom overtakes the disease, and it's I have to be very careful about my emotional and mental hygiene, that I don't let myself get into a situation where I open myself to getting in trouble. And so I have to be very vigilant, and I almost said diligent, which would have been, you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and when life gives you melons, get checked for dyslexia. But so, what I used to say was like the same brain that makes the good stuff makes the bad stuff. Yeah. And you have to, the same vigorous creative mind can also create horrible self-inflicted wounds. And you just have to be really, really careful about it. And also because of the life of a stand-up comedian, if that's all you do, is also a cauldron for that. You're alone all the time. You travel alone, you live alone, you work alone, you're on stage in a light, you're not intimate with anybody. You go home alone if you look like me. It breeds getting into your own head and shutting down, which is the thing you can't do. So.
That was an amazing piece that you wrote too, and it hit me at just that time that it came out, because you had brought up that you lost many friends from the comedy.
Yeah, many.
Yeah,
like 5.
Yeah,
all to suicides.
Yeah, and suicides, and not the other kind of, which is just like living so crazy that
it's not like I know a lot of musicians and they lose all their friends to drug overdoses.
Yeah, comedians
lose all their friends to suicides.
Yeah,
and. It is a chicken and the egg. It's like, why do comedians kill themselves? I don't think that's it. I think that people that have a predilection to suicide also have a mental makeup that allows them to be creative in a way that stand-up comedy is very appealing.
Would you trade it? Would you trade your creative mind for a life of like ease?
I've thought about it. Well, I tried it. I had a great normal life for like 7 years on The Simpsons, basically. Mm-hmm. I got, and at the end, I just couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. And my wife and I were at a party, and someone came up to me and said, "Are you Dana Gould?" And I said, "I used to be."
Yeah.
And my wife said, "You have to get out." She did. Said, "You have to stop. You have to get out." And then I got out and got more depressed, and we got divorced.
So it all worked out.
All worked out for her. All worked out for her. No, we're awesome friends. I have the least comedically rewarding divorce on the planet. She's a good egg.
I'll wrap this up the way I started. Congratulations on the show.
Thanks very much.
You're doing well with it.
Yeah.
And your stand-up album,
Mr. Funny Man,
is out
today.
Thank you so much, Dana. Take care, my friend. That was great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm back in the present day now.
Oh, great to have you back. That was a great Unmasked. I love Dana Gould.
Well, now you got a chance to win a signed Dana Gould poster from Unmasked. It's a once-in-a-lifetime prize.
Tweet at Dana Gould and at Bennington Show. It's a first responders contest. Best tweet wins the signed Dana Gould poster.
Thanks for supporting the show. Run out there and win the first responders. And then we'll see you all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!